Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Shalom family. We back. We back. More work to be done. More work to be done. Good to see everybody back on. All of the loyal BOW members. I call y'all online BOW members because y'all loyal, just like our congregants that's in person, man. Shalom to everybody. We love y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Today we got another one from the elder, mighty brother Ra'im Israel.
Shalom, Israel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shalom. Put sevens in the chat if the mics are cool. Mic check. Go ahead, say
Shalom, Israel. Kwam Yasha Allah.
Is the mics, put sevens in the chat if you can hear. Once y'all put a couple sevens in the chat, we about to go right into it. Because I want the elder to go ahead and get through his lesson. Huh? Oh, okay. Okay. Shalom. Okay, Khan. 777. Clear. Okay, Khan. All praises. All right, let's get right to it. So before we get started, I want the elder to address some things that's going on with the book. If you guys don't know, Lob, if you could put the book in the chat so I can put it on there. The elder wrote a beautiful book. Where's my book at? I think my book is not bad. Beautiful book. Here it is. All right. A mind well instructed, beautiful book. Very to the point, direct. And a couple of people have bought. Well, actually, it's sold out. Go ahead and talk about it a little bit. All praises
that is doing very well. I just want to shout out, say thank you to everyone that did support. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Shai. I do want to address something really quick, and this is to brothers and sisters that have purchased the book. And I know I've been getting some emails from Facebook and things like that stating that the orders haven't come through. And unfortunately, through Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and through some of these outlets that are distributing the book, they keep pushing their shipping time back. Some of it has to do with, of course, you know how Esau is when his truth is coming out, especially right now, with all of the so-called anti-Semitism rhetoric that's happening in the world. This book here, deals with that because it exposes the false Jews like to the bare draws of them. It's nothing that they can say. It's nothing that anyone can even do to refute it. It was to be expected there would be some backlash or some type of hold up, but it's not going to stop anything. The brothers are going to put a link and you could get the book directly from the distributor, okay, rather than going through Amazon. Those were the outlets that most people are familiar with. However, they keep, I'm understanding, they keep pushing people's shipping times back more and more. And I do want to apologize for that. But the link that brothers are going to put in the actual in the chat, that will allow you to get the book, and many people have used it, and they've gotten their book, whereas people pre-ordered the book back in November and they're getting ship times for like January, late December, January, which is ridiculous for when you already pre-ordered it. But the fact is that you know how Esau is. Our enemy is always trying to do something they can do to try to suppress and hold back the word. So, I do want to say again, thank you because of the support that you've given and the momentum of it. And also I want to apologize for the fact that now that it's making noise and people are gravitating to it, now they want to hold it back. You see, so, get it while you can. Again, if there's issues, you can, hit me on my Facebook page where I'm Israel. I'll get a way to get you a book. Okay. It's not about the money. It's not about anything like that. It's about just getting this message out there. Of course, things cost. It costs to print these things up, but it's about getting this knowledge to our people. It's in this time right now is very important. The scriptures tell you knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times and the strength of salvation. So I really want, brothers and sisters to know that, stay in your scriptures and, we'll do what we can and try to, counter the attacks of our enemy, because, soon we won't be able to get the Bible, and that's where they're pushing it, especially in these times right now, because now our people have a voice. And, with all of, the Kyrie, the Kanye West stuff, it's these people are being vessels to help promote and put this truth out there on the front lines for us. You know, and let me just get a scripture on that. Real
Go
quick.
ahead.
Let's go to the book of Joel. I want to get Joel chapter 2. And let's read verse 28.
Joel chapter 2, verse 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh.
So this is what the Most High is saying he's going to do in the later days to his people, to Israel. When it says all flesh, it's not talking about everyone in the world. It's talking about the flesh of the children of Israel. Okay, go ahead.
That I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall.
See, they're going to start to read what these scriptures are saying, and they're going to start to answer and have questions and really start to get understanding on what the words of the Most High is saying to them, and coming back to their nationality. That's what's happening right now. That's why you see a huge onslaught of people just looking, researching Hebrew Israelite, researching the true Jews, researching false Jews, Amalekite, fake Jews. You see all this that's happening with the so-called anti-Semitism and what have you. Anytime our people wake up and start speaking true, they always want to have some type of injunction or something against that and make it look like it's some evil thing. It's always been that case. They've been throwing rocks at us for years, and then as soon as we pick up a rock, now they want to
right.
no. You know, so they'll do everything that they can, but the Most High says that he's going to pour his spirit out upon his people, and his young men shall prophesy. Go ahead.
Your old men shall dream dreams.
See, even from the youngest to the oldest, Israel's going to wake up, come back to the knowledge of the Most High, come back to the scriptures, start keeping these commandments, and we're going to get this kingdom, because we know what it takes to get us there. It's going to take following these commandments. It's going to take answering and keeping what the Most High had said to do. Okay, and they're doing everything in their power and have always done what they could do to stop that. But what did the scripture say? You can't kick against the pricks. You can't stop this word. It's gonna come out, and it is coming out, and net breaking numbers is coming out from the least to the greatest. People are waking up. People are knowing what the Israelites are, okay, and who they are. Read on.
It says, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions.
See that? See, meaning that they're going to start to see what's really real and start to prophesy, speak against it. That's why you have younger brothers like yourself. You know, younger brothers that are younger than you. You know, that's coming into this wisdom and coming into this knowledge, and they're spreading this word. They're out there in the streets and the byways and the highways delivering the word to their people. Okay, one more real quick. And
this is what, and not to cut you off, Elder. This is how you know they trying to cut this word out. So the sister said, she tried to get the book on Kindle, and it says this app does not support purchasing of this content. Digital books and comics purchased from Amazon are unavailable to read in the Kindle app, but it says it doesn't support that content or whatever the case may be. So, Lob, can you put the direct link in the chat? You did already? Put it again so I could put, and let me know when you put it so I can make sure that you put the con. So the direct link is going to be put in the chat so everybody can go that haven't purchased it can go purchase it from this direct link. All right. And then all those that already purchased it, it's going to come. Just give it a little time, but I'm going to make sure it get on there. So thanks, Lob. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And that's the problem. You know, that's what happens when we're behind enemy lines, you know. They want to have control of these certain things, but we're gonna fight back. Like I said, Rhyme Israel on Facebook. You know, make sure that you'll be able to get a copy if need be. But let's read Daniel chapter 12, verse 4.
Daniel chapter 12.
Now, rest assured, if it was some information on the Catholic Church or something else, I guarantee you they'll be giving it away. You can get it anywhere with no problems. But when it's this truth, it's going to always be some type of hiccup in there. Daniel 12 and 4.
Daniel chapter 12, verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words.
So Daniel was able to see a vision of what was going to happen in the later days. So the Most High told him, you know, Daniel saw the kingdoms out coming on the earth. He saw the end of times. He saw what was going to happen, even in the pass away and the resurrection. Okay, so he's able to see this. So he said, "Shut up the words." Go ahead.
and seal the book,
Uh-huh.
even to the time of the end.
Even to the time of the end, into the later days. Read on.
Many shall run to and fro.
And people, and this is what's happening. People are going to wake up. They're running all over the place now. What's going to happen?
And knowledge shall be increased.
And knowledge is going to be increased. See, that's what's causing people, because here's the thing. Israel has been, how can I put this? We've been a target from all denominations, from the Christian church, Catholicism, the Muslims, Egyptologists. We're on everyone's radar, the Israelites. We're the enemy number one to them. All we're doing is teaching the Bible. But yet we're the enemy of all the, they'll get together. They hate each other any other time. But they'll get together when they're coming, because they share a common enemy, which is the Israelites. Because we've been laying them out for years, doctrine-wise. We've been showing them that the Bible is the supreme book. The word of the Most High cannot be beaten, no matter what. And they'll try to debate. They'll try. I came in truth in '94. People, we're having debates back then. They weren't on social media, but they were in lecture halls and libraries and little auditoriums and things like that, where you actually had to go in and physically be there. You know what I mean? But the fact is that we've been on their radar. I'm gonna bring a book if the next time if I'm back, and it's 4 volumes that this cat wrote. I think it was Malachi York or one of them, called 5,000 questions to ask a Hebrew Israelite.
5,000.
5,000 questions to ask a Hebrew Israelite.
Man.
And you know what? I saw this. It was in a marketplace, and I said, "Look at this." A dude was out there. You want to go up against Israelites? Buy this book. It was like they were arming up their people to fight. This is how bad they were getting beat down by us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From the East Coast to the West Coast, the Egyptologists, the Muslims, the Christians, they were just fooled
5,000
for the Israelite.
ways.
5,000 questions to ask the Hebrew Israelite. It was stuff like this guy asked them like to trip us up. Foolish question, unlearned question. Ask the Hebrew Israelite, does God have an esophagus? Ask him, does God have a larynx? It's what? Retarded. And then if they say yes, then this because this. If they say no, then so. But this is what it resorted to where people had to actually find some type of ammunition to fight against us. You have the same situation with these so-called apologetics. We've been beating people down for years, but now here's the thing is that they want to all rise up and they want to try to put the word down. That's why when we start speaking this truth, and when you get people that have these large names start acknowledging that, now they're really waking up, because you know when these people have a huge platform and they start speaking about the Bible and truth, oh, it's a huge threat.
Yep,
it's a huge threat. That's why they labeling Kanye crazy. That's why they want to about man's basketball career and put it in shambles. Look what they did to the brother Kaepernick. He's like, I'm not kneeling to that. He's like, man, they're killing my people. Forget that Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem and all of that. And then look what they did to his career. But yet they can say nigga without any repercussions on any platform, and it's not a problem. You see, so this is what I'm saying. So our people, when the Most High said that they shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Our people are waking up. Now they want to be educated, but not just any education. They want to get educated by the scriptures. You see what I'm saying? So that's something that our people are really showing you that the prophecies of the scriptures are real. No other book can do that. No other book is giving us the play-by-play actions as the scripture do. And look at this. The Bible, you can get it for 99 cents
in a hotel for free.
You see, that's how bad the Most High is. He said, "Look, you can get this anywhere, and this is the most powerful book that you can have to arm yourself spiritually." And you have these other doctrines out there where they got to go through all these theologian schools and all of these things. All you do is know how to pick up the scriptures, start reading, and you're gonna start getting knowledge. That's how potent the word of the Most High is. Thanks. So I just want to kind of just sidebar on that really quick, man, because this is just what it is. Our people are going to keep getting under this enemy fire, trying to attack every time we start to get closer to with our salvation. Here they come and want to try to muddy the waters and keep us and prevent us from getting back to the Most High.
That brings the question quick, and I know we're way into it, because with all the stuff with Kyrie and Kanye West and all of this stuff, with the black media, is all in the forefront right now of us being the true Jews. Like now, if you talk to like a lot of black people in the black community, they know like, oh yeah, I know we the real people of the Bible, right? So it's a lot of attention of the African Americans in America are black people, quote unquote. And people are understanding like, yeah, we're Jews, and it's a lot of black people coming into the truth. But now I really feel like this is an important topic to segue into like the Native Americans and the Mexicans, because a lot of our people are trained to go against the Latino community and go against the Mexican community, and they don't really understand that they are our brothers in arms and they're actually just to it. Not only that, but they understand the power. Can you imagine if we got Kyrie, Kanye speaking up, but the Latin community starts to speak up, like the soccer players start saying, "I found out I'm an Israelite," and and then the boxers, the Latino boxers find out I'm an Israelite, and can you imagine? Can you imagine the power? We would transcend time literally with the power that we can have as a black and brown community. But we have a lot of people, and I'm gonna give it back to you so we can get into it. We got a lot of people that don't want to see that unity between black and brown. Right. Black people alike, they want to say, why y'all keep mentioning? That's all we've been seeing as of late. A lot of new people waking up. I love everything, but why y'all keep saying Mexicans is Israelites? Yeah. Why y'all keep saying Mexicans is Jews? Why y'all keep bringing Mexicans into it? Right. So I definitely want to give this understanding. And it's not just, let me just say this one thing. It's not just Negroid Mexicans, okay? Whatever that even means, because that's a term the white man gave us too. It's literally Native Americans and Latinos are people, and I just want the elder to touch bases on how we know that prophetically and historically, and I'll turn it back over.
Con, you're right. It is an important topic because a lot of our people. One thing that I've seen is that a lot of people aren't culturally learned. Mm-hmm. So when you're only amongst Negroes, you kind of only understand that perspective, understand that dynamic of things. But when you start to learn the culture of or Hispanic brothers and sisters, or the Native American Indian brother, and you really start to check out their culture, check out, they're not different from us. We are in that same playing field. And when you start to go into the prophecies of what the scriptures are saying, they fall in line very clearly with how we know that we're Jews as so-called Negroes. Okay. And it's like I asked in the first part of the class. I'm not going to go into a lot of the parts that I had already talked about in the first one. If you want to get that information, check out the first video, Hispanic. I forget what it was titled.
Yeah, I'll put it in.
But it was one we did a couple of weeks ago where, getting to this part of the lesson, but to show who it is like are. One thing that our people have to understand is that when we start to go into the prophecies, we'll start to see that it's not only so-called Negroes, but so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Americans that fall in line with what these prophecies are saying as well. And that's what we have to get into, because a lot of it comes from hatred, past trauma. And that's the honest fact of it. You have a lot of brothers that feel so-called Negroes that feel that I don't like Hispanics, due to past situations. But it's not just that. You got a lot of Hispanics feel the same way towards so-called blacks. And that right there shows you a curse that we fall, which is that I shall be evil towards thy brother. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that there's a cultural divide in our nation. That was already by just divide and conquer. You see? So that's why there's these lines and these blurred visions of who's who. But when you start to go into the scriptures, and as we're going to get into, when we open up the pages of the Bible, you're going to start to see how well they fall into the position of what the Most High is saying who the Israelites are, just as well as so-called Negroes. Because let me tell you something, before the 1700, there was no Negro. So what were you?
Wow.
What were you?
Before the 1700s,
I wouldn't say the 17th century.
Before the 17th century, there was no Negro. There was no people group called Negro.
You see? You understand? So these are the things that our people have to look at. That name was started to be dubbed upon us by our oppressor, as a means to start to take away our nationality. Go to Jeremiah. This is one that I had covered at the last class, but I need to touch it one more time, and that's Jeremiah chapter 17. Now let's read verse 4.
All right. Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thy heritage that I gave
Do
thee.
you see that? The Most High is talking to the Israelites. He said, even thyself shall discontinue from the heritage that the Most High gave us. What heritage was that? He didn't call us black. He called us Israelites. We're Israel. He didn't call them Mexicans. He called them Israelites. He didn't call them Indians. Remember, those names were placed upon us by our oppressors. So how is it that they fall into that same situation of losing and forgetting their heritage, just like Negroes in America? Because in the first class, I went and showed you prophecies of where the Israelites would be in the later days, right?
Yep.
Showed that the key location that the Jews will be in, the real Jews, will be in America, known as the North Country, also known as spiritually as Sodom and Egypt, and also Babylon. And while we're in this land, the Most High gives a whole slew of information and prophecies that we'll go through to be able to identify who's who, because the question is, well, who are the Israelites? So in the first part of the class, I showed you clearly that it's definitely not the Caucasians. Christ made that clear in Revelations chapter 2:9 and 3:9. They're out of the picture. If you need that understanding, go back, watch the other video, and we go into that. So I had to first get rid of them and move them out the way, because they're the ones who the world at this point, the majority of the world identifies as Jews, are the Caucasians, or your Germans, your Russians, your Polish, and so on and so forth. Those Jews are people, are a set of people that are calling themselves Jewish today. They have stolen your identity. That's why Christ said they are the synagogue of Satan. And he says, I will make them worship before thy feet. He said, I know them that say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. So right then and there, we know that everybody just can't be a Jew, right? Then the Most High said, if the ordinances, the sun, moon, and stars ever depart, then the children of Israel will cease from being a nation before him. Are those ordinances still present? So that means that the Israelites are still in the flesh. Now the question is, if they're not the Caucasians, who are they? Are they only the Negroes? You see what I'm saying? So now we have to start to identify. So we fast forwarded where the Most High laid down prophecies. He says, look, I'm going to show you where a lot of the Israelites will be in the later days. Okay, let's get that in Revelations. I'm just going to backtrack really quick, and then we're going to go right into some of these historical references. But the scriptures first.
Yes, sir.
And that's Revelations 11.
And you want to
Verse 8.
Revelations chapter 11 verse 8, and their dead bodies,
So the dead bodies of the Israelites, read on,
shall lie in the street of the great city,
go ahead,
which spiritually,
because you're gonna have some unlearned
It says Egypt. It doesn't say America.
Are you gonna find America in the Bible? Show me the word America in the Bible. Can you do it? You see what I'm saying?
right?
Because America, now, did the land exist? Absolutely, but it wasn't labeled America. That's like saying, show me Africa in the Bible. Did Africa exist? Absolutely, but was it called Africa at this time? At the time the Bible was written? No. So that's why the Most High said, it shall spiritually be called what?
Spiritually be called Sodom, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
Sodom and Egypt. Now it says spiritually for a reason, because it's letting you know it's not those cities of Sodom and Egypt, but the city where these Israelites are going to be, where their dead bodies are going to lay, resemble. If you want to know what city I'm talking about, go research this land of Egypt. Go research the land of Sodom. That will help you pinpoint and identify the land that the Most High is talking about. That's how the Bible is written. The Most High is saying, look, he's ahead of the time. He said, I know there's no America there, but if you want to know what land I'm talking about, check your land, check the history of Egypt, and check the history of Sodom, inside and outside of the Bible. And then you tell me what landmass or country is closely resembled to those those land masses
in the last days.
in the latter
So
days.
we could do a check off then, right? We can do. So we know that the Jews are supposed to be in spiritual Sodom and Egypt,
correct.
and we can check off Latinos then for that, right? Because
Check
they're
them
here.
off.
No, not check them off, but like check that off, like in terms of that's a prophecy they fulfilled then.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so
well, here's the
because they're in the land that
what will it be?
that'd be America. Has to be.
And
Mhm.
But the reason why the Most High goes back, because when you look at what happened, here it was a land that was filled with sexual immorality. And primarily, that immorality was homosexuality.
Mhm.
And it was so bad that these men went to the doorstep. They saw two angels go into Lot's house, and they came, where are the men that came in your house? Nah, look, please don't do this evil. Lot's reasoning with him, like, look, don't do this evil.
Mhm.
I even have two daughters that never been with men. Be with a woman. Don't take these men. That's immoral. That's wicked. The Most High will punish you. What did they say? We don't want them women. Bring the men out here.
Bring the men.
Oh, we're going to burn the house down. We coming in. This is how bad it was. Then here it is. The angel smote the men with blindness. They was crawling, still trying to get to the men. So what is the Most High saying in that story? He's telling you that the sexual immorality and homosexuality was so bad that they would lose their sight. They would lose all that they had to achieve that lifestyle. Now, ask yourself, what country is going all out of their way to make sure homosexuality is present?
Only one
Pick
main.
one. Japan, is that one?
Nope.
No. Israel.
Nope. Yeah, actually.
Well, now, okay, now look at it. Let me just say this. You have homosexuals everywhere.
Mhm.
But what he's saying is that which one is at a leading rate?
Well, America is the leading, and America is allies with Israel. So Israel's the number 2. The Israeli government, not the nation.
Right.
The Israeli government is the second country that supports homosexuality under the guidelines of America.
Now, what else is immoral? Incest.
Mm-hmm.
Who's leading? What country is telling you can marry your pet?
That's crazy. Yeah.
What country leads in pornography?
That's crazy.
So spiritually called Sodom now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Egypt. Let's talk about Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the things that Egypt was known for? Also homosexuality.
Yeah.
Also the transgender
Idolatry.
situation, idolatry, greed, and so much that they thought that they could take their riches with them. They buried it with them. That lets you know that their understanding of of eternal life wasn't present. You see what I mean? We're spiritual people. We were worried about those physical things, but Egypt was a carnal country, a carnal place in its day, just like America. What's everybody coming to America to get? Are they coming to America to learn and really be dignified and righteous?
Sexual freedom.
All kinds of freedom.
Running from the Middle East to come here to be gay.
And your religious freedom.
Yep, idolatry.
But now, what does that create in a country? Confusion. You have every kind of sexuality you can be. Whatever you feel it, do it. That's America, right? The land of opportunity. Whatever religion you want, you can be it in America. You could be an atheist. You could be a Catholic. You could be a Christian. You could be an Israelite. You could be a Jew. You could be a Buddhist. You can be Baha'i faith. You could be in Scientology. You could be in whatever. You could create your own religion.
You can be God.
If you want to, in America. Other countries, they'll behead you for something like that.
Yep, true.
So, but what does that know? What is that called? Confusion. Well, here's another land, another name in America is known as Babylon. What does Babel mean? Confusion. Babal, the Hebrew word for confusion, is also representative of America. So the Most High is telling you that the Jews, the Israelites in the later days will be in this place called Babylon. When you read Revelation chapter 18, it also says their dead bodies will lay in this place that is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Well, now ask yourself, America, whose bodies are dead in the street since the inception of this land?
Black and Latinos.
First, it was the Hispanics and the Native American Indians.
Facts.
Their blood is rich in America. All the wars, the Creek Wars, the War of Little Bighorn. I mean, you could go on down to all the different uprisings in the Caribbean, in the Dominican Republic, in Cuba, in Haiti, in Puerto Rico. Who came over here conquering them? This is before so-called Negroes even touched the land. But it's only the Negroes.
They why is it so convenient for us to look over the Latino and Native American destruction that America has caused? Why do black people like to do that? You can't look over that
Cultural
history.
failure.
Cultural failure.
Cultural failure. I just thought of that.
That's a good one.
But that's what it is, because of the fact that, but what did the Most High say? You will cease from your heritage that I gave thee. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at the people that's in America that are in this land that resembles Sodom, that resembles Egypt, that resembles Babylon, because now what was Babylon? We could go check Babylon too. The Christmas tree came from Babylon. When you read Jeremiah chapter 10. The worshiping of astrology and all of that, a lot of that was heavily practiced in Babylon that our people do. Every time you get on your computer, oh, what's your horoscope? Learn, oh, the Pisces is this. And today, that's all you see. That's all you see. So this land that is spiritually called Babylon, Sodom, and Egypt, which we can clearly identify as America, right? Now it says the Israelites will be there, but not only will they be there, you will see their dead bodies. So when you see who's the death rate, now today we have many cultures here in America, right? So if I were to say, put everybody that's in America, you got Asian, you got Chinese, you got Black, you got Hispanic, you got Arabic, you have Indian, so-called East Indians or whatever, you're Persians. Let's put everybody under the microscope in America. What's the death toll of the Negro, Hispanic, Native American Indian versus anyone else?
It's unmatchable.
Have a million Arabs died on the soil of America?
No.
Have a million Japanese died? I'm just saying 1 million.
No.
But now, how many hundreds of millions of Hispanics and Native American Indians dead bodies were in America? Millions.
Before a Negro came over here on a slave ship, the Latinos are and heavily indoctrinated. And then somebody, I got to say this because I know you're gonna get into the history. It's 2 comments that I did want to read real quick. It says, somebody said, where are they at? Right here. It says, because they are not our friends and they haven't suffered as much as us, and they are on team with the devil against us. First of all, you don't know history, JJ, respectfully, because you don't know how much these people suffer.
Did he just say they haven't suffered as much as us?
Exactly. That's why I'm gonna let you get into the history.
Wow.
That's why I want to read this. He literally just said they haven't suffered as much as us. He doesn't know history, because the same way we have monuments of Confederate monuments up of our slave masters that are still up, statues. He doesn't know that the Latinos are fighting in Mexico and different places to tear down a lot of the Spanish conquistador monuments that are up, of the millions of people that was killed in Mexico and the Caribbean that he doesn't know about, which I know you probably get into. And then I want to correct him on something else. He said they team up with the devil against us. Our own black man team up with the devil against us. Did you not see Charles Barkley? Did you not see Shaq? Did you not see all these coons that came against Kyrie? Man. What are you talking about? Did you not watch Django? Like, what
that's been the case.
What are you talking about?
How many so-called black people came up against Malcolm?
Yeah,
and Martin Luther.
Black man killed the black man, took down the Black Panther Party. So stop that nonsense. We're gonna kill all of that today.
Cultural failure.
That JJ is an example, respectfully,
failure.
of cultural failure. All right.
Cultural failure.
Yes, sir. So we'll get into some. We'll get into some history. We'll get into some history. Go ahead, Elder.
So we see that, and again, I'm just directing everyone, if they need to see that in the references, to go back to the video we did prior to this one a few weeks ago. So we that the Most High, that he will bring Israel to Babylon in Revelation the 18th chapter. He also says in the book of Micah, okay, he says Babylon, where Israel will be delivered from. Okay, then we read that their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city that is spiritually called. So now is America a weak or a great city?
Great city.
It's the greatest city. And their dead bodies are still laying in the streets. But if for someone to say they haven't suffered as much as black, you got to understand, prior to so-called Negroes coming on American soil, the Indians were catching havoc from the so-called English, the British, the French. They were getting outdone. Then if you go and don't even get into the Caribbean, where you had the Spaniards still east. And then now remember, what did the Most High say? Thy enemies shall come up against thee. Well, why is it the same man that defeated the Negroes the same one that defeated the Indians? Why is the same man that defeated the Negro is the same one that defeated the Hispanics and the Native Americans? How is that? Is that a coincidence, or is that prophecy? They are going to curse that the Most High prophesied that the Israelites would undertake. You see? So their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which is called Sodom and Egypt, where even our Lord was crucified. Because why? Christ died for our transgressions, but yet our people are still breaking the law because they're caught up in religion. They're completely disregarding the whole purpose of why Yahushua gave his life. It was to give us redemption, to repent and do well. But now you have our own people caught up in these religious systems that are telling you it's okay to transgress against the laws of the Most High. And who's the deepest rooted in those is our Hispanic brothers.
Yep. Hispanic brothers.
Man.
Yep.
But that goes back to what the scriptures say. That's why when you look at some of the book references I gave you, this one by Eric Williams, From Columbus to Castro, it's giving you a history from when the conquistadors came into the Americas and conquered and took and subdued, indoctrinated the Hispanics, indoctrinated the Indians. And that's the reason why they speak Spanish and English. There was no English and Spanish language prior to them. You have to remember, the Indians were already here. The Hispanics were already in America prior to the Negroes coming. But where did they come from and how did they get here? Before Columbus, who so-called discovered America, there was kingdoms here, set up, ruled. They had pyramids, just like the pyramids, for some reason, that was built in ancient Egypt. Exactly what they were doing in the land of Israel. Wearing fringes on their clothing, separating women when they were on the menstrual. They had a feast which was similar to Passover, where they did not eat leavened bread that they kept in the spring. How would an Indian prior to a Negro know any of that if he wasn't connected to the Israelites?
New moons.
The new moons, Sabbath days. They had a day of atonement. All of these things that's in the scriptures.
So the same way, Elder, that so-called Negroes can go and see us in West Africa and we can see our practices. Like if you watch that book by Ron Dalton, watch that movie by Ron Dalton. What I forgot the name of it. I can't not think of the name of the movie right now, but the movie that Kyrie Irving posted, the link he posted, when you watch that movie, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of West African culture being shown to be Hebraic, right? But we could do that same thing in America with the natives. Absolutely. We could do that same thing. They were having they had impurity, situations, like if their women was on their monthly, they'll be impure for the same amount of time as the scriptures speak of. New moons, like you said, Sabbath days, speaking the same dialect of Hebrew.
Right.
All of this is historical fact.
Absolutely.
And we can do the same way. We can match it and see that their history lines up with the Bible, and you cannot deny history.
You can't, and especially when it's still happening. Because when you look at these things, we're a complete result of slavery. What did Jeremiah say? Thou even thyself shall cease from thy heritage that I gave thee. So when you look at the people that are in America, how is it that the Negro is ceased from his heritage? Doesn't know who he is, speaking another language. Yet the Japanese and the Chinese, the Arab, the East Indian or the Persian, they still have their language, have their heritage, and have their land that they can go back to. But at the same time, how is it that the Hispanic brother and sister also speak their oppressor's language, have been indoctrinated, because they didn't know what a Catholic was before the Spaniards came over here. They had no knowledge of that. crucifix and things like that. This stuff was indoctrinated into them the same way it was indoctrinated to us. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So these are the things that when we start to look at culture and heritage, that we have to see that these things did not belong to us. You see what I mean? So this is why the scriptures are saying, exactly what they're going into. So the Israelites will be in this land called spiritually Sodom, Egypt, and Babylon. Okay. Now, when we remember Deuteronomy 28 as well, I shall go into Deuteronomy 28:68 tells you that the Israelites shall go into Egypt again with ships. That Egypt is talking about is that spiritual Egypt, because now we see how Negroes came to America, so-called Negroes. But I showed in the last lesson that Hispanics and Native Americans were also being taken on ships and taken and shipped into different parts and made slaves too.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So that just didn't happen to the so-called Negroes. So on this land, it said that dead bodies are found in the streets of Sodom, spiritual Egypt, spiritual Babylon. So when you look at, again, put the nations under the microscope that are presently in America, it is the Negroes who are being oppressed and being murdered by the millions, who have been oppressed and murdered by the millions. It is the Hispanics that have their numbers may have exceeded the Negroes. And then you have the Native American Indians that fought wars and battles to fight oppression that was destined against them by the same enemy prior to the so-called Negroes' arrival. You see that? So these are the things that we have to look at and see what's going on. Let's get Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. So now that we've kind of backtracked a little bit to show and watch the video of the last one to get the scriptures and everything, we're just kind of reviewing a little bit to bring everyone up to speed so we can really get into who these tribes of Israel are. Okay.
14:12.
Yes. Chapter 14, verse 12.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
Now, because what is it talking about here? Lucifer. Lucifer is not talking about Satan. Lucifer is a name that means, is a Hebrew word, is halal, which means bearer of light, one who has power, one who has authority. So who will be Lucifer in this kingdom? Esau, the so-called white man. He is the Lucifer in this chapter because he's the one who will be ruling at the time Christ returns. We went over that at the first time I came on your show. Go ahead.
It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
Meaning, how would he be fallen from his place of position of power? His position of leadership. Read on.
Son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation?
So it's letting you know it's not talking about Satan, it's talking about a man. What race of people have weakened all nations? The so-called white man. He has full power, full authority over the earth. That's why it says Job 9:24, the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. When you read in Daniel, in Revelation, it talks about the beast, the red beast, the red dragon. That's talking about America and all its heads of rulership. Okay, so he weakened the nations through warfare, through his strong military might, through his policy, through his religion, through his system of wickedness. He's the one that's in authority right now. That's how they're able to make this Sodom and Egypt. Y'all see how that works? And Babylon. Read on.
For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into the heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
So this is what the so-called white man has said. I will ascend into heaven. He's done that with his rocket ships, with his airplanes, all of that stuff. He's fulfilled prophecy according to the scriptures. Okay, but he's also high-minded to say he's going to be above the Most High. Okay, read on.
I will sit.
Now look at this. Watch this. Read.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation. What congregation is he talking about?
Israel.
Talking about the congregation of the nation of Israel. That's who the Bible's about. It's about you. But he says that he's going to have all this power. He's going to send it to the heavens, right? And he will sit upon the congregation. Go ahead.
In the sides of the north.
In the sides of the north. Going back to what Jeremiah mentioned about the North Country, North America, Sodom, Egypt, Babylon. Now, what nation is sitting upon the Negroes here in America and oppressing them?
Only one man, Caucasian.
It's surely into Japanese, surely not the Chinese, it's not the African, it's not your Hindu buddy, it's not the Arab, It's a Caucasian sitting upon you, meaning over you in authority, dictating to you. We have, remember, what did one of the curses say? Thou shalt serve thine enemies in hunger. Let's go there really quick. Hope that. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. Let's read verse 48.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies.
You're going to serve your enemies. The Most High calls them your enemies. But now let's see who this. Now remember, we would be in captivity in spiritual Sodom, spiritual Egypt, spiritual Babylon, which we know and can see is America. So now, out of the nations in America, let's see who this applies to. Read on.
Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies.
You're going to serve your enemies. Who served in slavery in America? Was it just the Negroes?
Nope.
Because I can swear, I go into some of these books, you're going to see that you had a lot of Native American Indian slaves. Okay? You had a lot of Hispanics that, and matter of fact, you still got them today. See, the Most High is holding. He said, oh, you got a little, just look out the window.
Right.
That's why it's the living word. So look out the window and you tell me who's oppressed, even today in 2022. You tell me who's oppressed in America. Like you mentioned, who's fighting not to have a wall put upon them? Who's fighting the immigration? Who's this? You don't see these other nations dealing with that. Our Hispanic brothers is fighting that. And in California and all of this is part of Mexico. What the heck are you talking about? But was not their land taken from them?
Absolutely.
Wow. But it's only blacks. Come on.
One can make an argument that so-called natives and Latinos went through more. I could try to make an argument, not saying that. Do you know how much they went through? They went through the the cutting off the children's heads and playing soccer and burning them by the stake.
Watch. You're gonna see that. But thou shalt serve thine enemies. Read.
Says, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
And the Lord sent the enemies against Israel because they broke the laws of the Most High continually. Read on.
In hunger.
In hunger. So when you look at it even now, what do Hispanics, Negroes, Native Americans own as far as any food industry?
Nothing.
We're not talking about the little garden in your backyard. We're talking about food industry. Whereas you have to work to get it. You have no power. You have to labor to purchase and acquire these things. You have to serve your enemy, your oppressor, to get that. Read on.
It says in hunger and in thirst.
And in thirst. The water he stole from your wells, he sells back to you for profit. The water that your God gave the earth, he stole that was placed in your wells. They're called cenotes. If you go into Central America, South America, they call cenotes, which are like wells where water resides. Well, they took that. They stole that. Okay, read on.
It says, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness.
And in nakedness, clothing. The poverty level. Now, look at America and you tell me, where is the poverty bar on who? Is it on the so-called Caucasians? Is it on the Japanese? Do you see how many? Now, when you look at the homeless and you look at those that are in the missions and that are in these homeless shelters and domestic abuse and all of these places that are these runaway homes, the prisons, what's the population consistency of? Let's deal with prison. What's the majority in the prison houses? Blacks, yep. Hispanics, Native Americans. When you look at the homeless level of homelessness in America, and when I say America, not just North America, now going back to that cultural failure, if you haven't been outside the United States, then you really wouldn't know. But when you really want to talk about poverty, go into these areas of Mexico, go into the areas of Nicaragua, go into Haiti, go into Brazil, when you literally have cardboard boxes up like a home, and this is a family dwelling. You see what I'm saying? That's a level of poverty you haven't even seen if you've never left these particular these states here. Go to Cuba, go to Puerto Rico. These beautiful places that swooped up and now they built hotel resorts, all these places, so it makes it appear beautiful when you turn on the television. But go to those places and go into the places where the natives live.
Mm-hmm.
Not talking about Club Med and the Hyatt and the Hilton resorts. Go into where they're not the people that work in those hotels. Now go to their home and watch the poverty level. But who's affected? So when he says America, he's not just talking about North, he's talking about North, South, Central America is all that one, all controlled by the same person. And it's also talking about the Caribbean islands. All controlled by the same, because you have America controlled by the English, the British. You have Mexico, all that controlled by Spain, France, and all that. You have the Caribbean controlled by Britain and France as well, and Spain. All Esau, all the so-called white men, all the Caucasian, the same enemy, just speaking different languages, just like we do as a people. We speak English. Some of our brothers speak Spanish. Some of our brothers speak French. Some speak Portuguese, or what have you. It's the same situation.
Yeah.
But we shall serve our enemy in hunger and thirst and in nakedness. Go ahead.
It says, and we shall serve our enemies in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
Now, we know that so-called Negroes had shackles, but so did the Indians. So did the Hispanics. What do you think Pizarro and Cortez and Columbus was doing to these natives that was rebelling against them? What do you think they was doing to the Aztecs? Shaking hands? No, they were tying them up. They were shackling them up, making them slaves, taking them back to Spain, breaking them down, and either killing them if they did not conform. And the ones that did conform, they taught them Spanish, indoctrinated them with Catholicism, brought them back to the Americas, and made them indoctrinate their own brothers and sisters.
Facts. Look it up.
And if see what I'm saying? Now, when we talk about, Lord, there's a university named after him, right? But when we start talking about the scripture, now all of a sudden we become anti-Semitic. But you got honoring people that have killed millions of innocent souls. And y'all want the game is rigged. But that's our oppressor. The Most High warned us. He told us there will be no fairness here. Your dead bodies will lay in the streets of these cities. So when you now let's deal with that again. Now, so when we look at the so-called Negro atrocities, we look at the Native American Indian atrocities. Like I say, look at the Trail of Tears. Research that information, and let's talk about it. Were there lynchings? Absolutely. Were they in the fields picking cotton and picking textures and all of these things and not having any part of it for their oppressor?
Tobacco, coca.
Oh,
the Tahinos
man.
was getting all the coca plants and all of that, and I mean for the chocolate, I can't think of the name, but yeah, they was doing all of that.
Man.
Tahinos.
And if you look at it now, who's in these farms pulling the strawberries and the fruits?
The gold mines, the Mexicans when they was in the gold mines and getting all the gold in on the west out here.
So to not be able to see that, either you're living on either your TV only got one channel, or you're just completely blind. But see, people quick to pull Negroes picking cotton because that's what they mostly taught in the schools. But when you start to look at it and say, wait a minute, I don't have to go into the 1800s to see Negroes picking cotton because I can see Hispanics doing it in the field today. Go into Bakersfield if you're in California. Go into any of these areas where there's farmland and find out who's working them. Who are your laborers? Who's your day laborers in front of Home Depot asking to work to put you on this truck so they can work to try to make some money for the day? How many Caucasians and Japanese and Chinese do you see doing that? These are the things. Shall I serve thine enemies in hunger and in nakedness? Go ahead.
It says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Until he have destroyed thee. So the goal is for them to destroy thee. So what people in America are being destroyed? Is it just the Negroes? We know Negroes are being destroyed. Look up and let's take a look. I can see my Hispanic brothers being destroyed too, because they're going through the same situation. They speak their enemy's language. They're following their enemy's policy. They're trying to be like their enemy, just like our people, sisters who want blonde hair and all this, trying to be like their oppressor, and brothers is trying to walk and talk just like their oppressor. Well, Hispanics are doing the same thing. Native Americans is doing the same exact thing. They've gone through the same suffering, the same affliction, the same atrocities. And we're not talking about a million Negroes, 50,000. No, we're talking millions upon millions of small, highly comparable numbers. And if you want to combine the Hispanics and the Native Americans together, the level of atrocity and the level of death surpassed that of the Negroes.
You said it was cultural. What I got it? What you
Cultural failure.
Cultural failure. I like when you said that, because that brings me to, I want to share this picture for you, just to add to your point.
Oh, for sure.
Of the cultural failure, because blacks only research what is indicative to them. They forget that Malcolm X and Fidel Castro, right, a Latino brother, they was working together to revolutionize against the white man.
Absolutely.
With Che Guevara, which was the one that founded or coined, I should say, the term guerrilla warfare. Che Guevara, right? So a lot of people don't understand that. Here's Che Guevara right here. Here's a picture of him right here. This is him right here. All right. They just are so focused on just the history of themselves and in terms of being African American that they don't understand that the natives and the Latinos had revolutionaries, fought wars, and to be honest, they put in work against the white man. If you look up Che Guevara, he was kicking them white boys' butts in that guerrilla warfare.
And look at the Maroons, look at the Coromantee. So when and you look at a lot of these, I showed you how many of these that were sent to the Caribbean were Native Americans too. And like I said, that's how you get to where it's called Caribbean Indian, West Indian. You see what I'm saying? So, our people really have to stop to take a second and really look to see what's going on and not just look at one level. Don't have tunnel vision in this. You got to look at what the Most High is saying. That's why he gives you a place. He gives you a scenario that's going to happen. So when you start to put these people under the microscope, you're able to see, well, wait a minute. It can't just be the Negroes, because I'm looking at rebellions outside there.
Yep.
I'm seeing Hispanics rebellion. I'm seeing Sitting Bull. I'm seeing Geronimo. I'm seeing these people that were fighting, that were leading revolutions, putting work in oppression that was going on with their people by the same man that Negroes were fighting against.
Somebody said, and I love that, and I'm gonna let you take off with this, because I love the interaction. The people are engaged.
Oh, for sure.
It says, I still don't understand how that makes them Israelites, because they were involved in acts of slavery. Who is their father? See, now this is the cold part. And this is the biasness that, and this is no disrespect to this particular sister.
Right.
But this is the biasness that black people have when and I'm gonna say Israelites, that black people that know that they're Israelites, that they have, because they'll do the same thing we're doing. They'll take Deuteronomy 28. Absolutely. They'll show the curses. They'll show it in history. Right. They'll say, look, we're these people. They'll say, hey, look, the Bible says prophetically we'll know who these people are. They'll go through the Bible and prove prophetically that the Caucasian man can't be the Jew according to prophecy. Right. They'll do the whole thing. But as soon as we do that with Native Americans and Latinos, I just don't see how that still makes them Israelites. Right. That's biasness.
And it says, who are their fathers?
Yes, you become biased because technically, and I'm gonna give it back to the elder.
Yeah, for sure.
Technically, you can't, and if we're gonna be honest, you can't prove who your fathers are. Right. Because your fathers might be Caucasian, because your fathers got raped on plantations. We ain't even going all the way back in Africa. Absolutely. Your fathers got raped on plantations. Your foremothers got raped on plantations. If you go 5 generations back, you might be a white man. So you have to stop it and just look at what the prophecy and the elders bringing out prophetically and historically. These people are the only people that fit the narrative of the biblical prophecy like we do. No one else does. And I will bet my life on that. The fake Jews don't. The Caucasian man don't. The Arab man don't. Nobody does but us, black people, and Native Americans and Latino people. Absolutely. You understand? And yes, then that means you wouldn't be an Israelite. If you want to take that, and this respect to you, sis, but if you want to take that same logic against the Native Americans and the Latinos, I can do that reverse psychology against black people. Tia and Tamara, they look like sisters. They daddy is white.
That's right.
Y'all gotta stop this. Y'all gotta stop this. Well, they gotta look Negroid. Their features gotta be black. They gotta have a broad nose. Because I don't got a broad nose.
You gotta remember Bob Marley too.
Bob Marley is an Edomite. He's white. So you gotta stop with the BS of skin texture. We'll go through that later. The white man gave you that. You tell your race by skin tone. There's many different skin tones between black people and brown people. Skin tone does not make you an Israelite. What makes you an Israelite, according to the Bible, is fitting these prophecies, his history, and going through these curses. Go ahead.
Absolutely, and that's
respectfully, sis.
And I like what the sister said is like, who are their fathers? And that's important to understand because, you know, like I mentioned in the first part of this video, which wants to check out, I showed the things that our fathers did with women of other nations. You understand?
Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah.
You understand? So you got to remember, Solomon had many, many wives. I said he loved white women. He loved Egyptian women. He loved. So rest assured, he had children with these women. Even though their women may be of other nations, but yet the children are of what their father is.
Can you just
that's nationality?
Can you don't go too deep into it, but just can you explain a little bit of the understanding of how the 12 tribes laid with different women and Solomon, for example? Can you just go through it a little
absolutely bit? And we know I'll give you a couple of scriptures really quick. Joseph, remember when he was in Egypt, when you read Genesis chapter 41, Joseph married the high priest of On. He married his daughter. So Ephraim and Manasseh did not have Israelite mothers. You see what I'm saying? So that means when you're starting to look at features, they can vary from the father and they can also pick up features from their mother. So I mentioned Solomon. I mentioned when you go to the book of Ezra chapter 10, it talks about that our forefathers married women. Just it's nothing new. The scripture says there's nothing new under the sun. So you see so-called Israelite men marrying women of other nations now unknowingly and having children with these women. You see what I'm saying? So what are the children? They're going to have resemblances, and that's what you're having there are DNA and different characteristics that will be passed down from generation to generation. Because what you're looking at, you're trying to look for an Indian to look like a Negro.
Right.
But if you look in the Negro race alone, you're going to have various shades. You're going to have various hair textures. You're going to have some with blue eyes, some with green eyes, some with dark brown eyes. You're going to have different heights, different skin tones, different nose shapes. You're going to have look at his nose. Because I don't look. Noses,
because me and you don't look. Let's be honest. Me and you don't look like, if you want to just go on phenotype.
Right.
My nose is different. My head structure is different. I look more Ethiopian.
Then they argue and say, well, that means they ain't Israelites.
That's what I'm saying. You will have to, and that's the point. This is what I'm trying to get them to understand. It's not about how you look. I have a friend from El Salvador.
Right.
She looks more like a Negro girl, so broader nose and things like that. But her daddy is El Salvadorian, looks like a Mexican man.
Right.
But her mama's black. But you wouldn't know that if you want to go by that, she would technically not be an Israelite. But if you just seen her, you'll say, "Oh, she's an Israelite." Right. But you can't go off of how you look. You understand? And that's the point.
And that's important because, like I mentioned in the first video, if you look at my children, right, I have children of different shades, different hair textures. You know, you could put them all together and wouldn't even think they were related. You know what I mean? So when you look at what our forefathers were doing, you know, these things happened. And children resulted in these. So even though that the children that were from these men that married women, remember that didn't always happen, because remember when Christ brought, it's also our forefathers that did those transgressions then. Okay. I'm gonna come back to 48, but just since we're on that topic, let's flip over to Deuteronomy 28, verse 30.
Okay, come.
Let's bring it up to speed to today, and show the same exact situation. Deuteronomy 28, verse 30.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife.
So the Israelite man will betroth the wife. He will get him a wife. Read.
And another man shall lie with her.
And another man shall lie with her. Okay, we know that happens in two different forms. That happened during slavery with rapes. That happens today with adultery and creeping and all this other stuff, right? So why is that important? Because the wife also, you got to remember, children were born of this too. And they would resemble, but then you also got to remember that if our foremother was raped, right, by our oppressor, but what if the child was a daughter? That daughter went off, she's still going to, that child is going to be what his father is, which would be an Edomite if that was the rapist, right? But okay, if that daughter grows to have children of her own by an Israelite man, the children can still resemble some features of the mother. So your physical, what you're looking for in that, well, you don't look quite Negro, but wait a minute, how not? You don't know what the mom's been through. You don't know what her heritage consists of. That's why the scriptures tell you plainly what determines a person's nationality. Their father. Now, in the case of Israel, how many of you can go back and trace to your fourth and fifth generation? You see what I'm saying? And the only reason in which I have to get into is to show you how we know who the Israelites are. See, the Most High is giving you this isn't even the main identifier. The Most High is giving you steps. He's giving you boundaries. He's saying, listen, this whole world, right? The question is Israelites. We just proved they're not Caucasian. They can't be. The people claiming to be Jews are not them. Okay. Now, one thing the Most High said, listen, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to tell you what Israelites are going to be in the later days so you'll be able to identify who these people are of some degree. So now, notice he didn't say the people who are dark brown of this people in Egypt, or the people that have this colored nose, or the people that are woolly hair. He doesn't say that because the Most High knows the history of his people. But what he does say is, I'm going to show you what a group of people is going to experience. Now, all you have to do is look up, pay attention to what's going to happen to them, pay attention to where a great majority of them are going to be at. We know they're scattered all throughout the four corners, but he's giving you an identifier so that you can help to start reducing and finding out who's who. So now that we know that the Israelites will be in the place called America, which is Sodom and Egypt, mentioned in the Bible in Babylon, we know is America. Now, the Most High is going to say, now that you see where they're going to be, I'm going to show you what these group of people will experience. And from there, you can start deducting who's not going through these things. So now, if you can, if any curse you could say a Negro's going through, I'll show you where Hispanics and also Indians have gone through the same thing. And if we can do that, we got to say they got to be the same people. But wait, you don't look like me. It doesn't matter because you think all the brothers of the 12 tribes look alike?
Not at all.
They all had different mothers. You see what I'm saying? You think all the history, David was considered ruddy. That meant that he had red tone, red complete. It doesn't mean he was a Caucasian. It meant that he was very smooth, had very clear skin, very healthy, very vibrant. You know what I mean? So you had, just like if you go in your family, amongst your family and relatives and what have you, I guarantee you're going to have that very, very dark relative, and you're going to have a very, very light relative. But you're all of one family, right? You see what I'm saying? But that's the thing where you got to understand how marriage plays a part in it, because our forefathers did go and marry women of other nations. And those children, some of them bared the resemblances of their mother, although they were still Israelites because they're of their father.
That's deep.
You have to understand that. And the reason why I keep stressing that is because people still thinking Negro. But before the 1600s, there was no Negro. You see what I'm saying? There was no Negro. So what the hell were you? You had to be identified based upon something that the Most High prophesied that you would experience. So it said, thou shalt betroth the wife, and another man shall lie with her. Mm-hmm. So we know that's happened with our foremothers. But these women also bare children, and they weren't always men. So if these daughters that were born, then they grew to marry an Israelite man, guess what? What would that child be? An Israelite. But it may also have a physical resemblance of his mother. Yeah. So at that point, you can't look at that. You have to say, wait a minute, hold up. I got to look at what the father is. But again, who can go back and trace 5 generations, 4 and 5 generations? You can't.
And the Lord is such a beautiful chess player because he understood that we will be scattered amongst the nations, our heritage scattered amongst the nations. They tried to cut us off. And that's why we stress the prophecy so much, because the prophecies really point to the direction of who is who. mixed with historical evidence as well. Prophecies mixed with historical evidence, because prophecy is just history, or history is just prophecy fulfilled, right? That's how I like to say it. But when you look at the spiritual connotation behind this book of who he's pointing to as Israel, it literally rules out everybody except two, if you want to consider 2 or 3 groups of people, which is the natives, the Latinos, and the blacks, and no one. Absolutely. I will bet anybody, they want to go strictly Bible. This is for people that believe in the Bible. I will put this Bible up and we can see who fits the prophecies other than those people. It's no one.
I give you one right now. Since we're in verse 30, let's read verse 31. Watch this.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 31. Thy ox.
Thy what?
Thy ox shall be slain before thine eyes.
Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes. Now I challenge you. You tell me on the soils of America who is in the family of buffalo, bison, things like that. Who had more oxen, the Indians or the Negroes? I'll wait. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes. Now, how do we know? Because we can go into history and see that the oxen, the buffalo, were slaughtered by the millions. Who did they take them from? The Native American Indians. Why? As a means to starve them out, because that was their main survival source. That's where they got clothing. They used the hides to make shelter. They used the meat to eat, feed their families. By a means of killing it and also to make merchandise, they took the buffalo, killed them off, in effect to starve the Indians, but yet to what? Take the hides and make money, make leather, create textiles, make leather, and what have you.
Got to find that image. What is the image?
But you understand what I'm saying? So right there, the Most High is showing you that if you were to look on this soil to see who had the most oxen out of the people that dwelt on the soils of America in history, who would it be?
It gotta be the Native Americans.
In the book, I go and I have images of these things in the book. So those are things, and going through other references. Like I said, I'm gonna get into some of these, but we're kind of tracking and we're going through it with dialogue and show our people that listen. You got to look up, and you can't just be, stronghold to say, "Oh, this is Negro, this is Negro." No, the term Negro came later. But what was our people before that?
Live, what's that photo? I need that for Ryan real quick. Yeah.
You understand?
What is it called? No, what is it called? So I can pull it up on the screen. I want to show what he's saying. It's the skulls that were.
Oh, you're talking about this. You're talking about this.
Yeah. Bison skull pile.
Yeah.
Let me. I'm gonna pull it up for you right here. Oh wait.
You know they're gonna make it hard for you to find when you need it.
Yeah. Here it is, right there. Look at this. Let me share this, because the elder, and then we're gonna read that. I'm gonna read the scripture again because the elder was breaking it down so beautifully. And this happened to the Native Americans.
Look at that.
All bison
Skulls. Wait. And look at who's on top.
Yeah. Let me zoom in on right here.
Look at him.
There he is.
Posing.
Yep, there he is.
See, that's why Isaiah 14 said, when he said he shall sit upon the congregation on the sides of the north. Mm-hmm. See, that's him boasting, saying, look, this is what we've done. This is what we've done to God's people. We're taking away their possessions. We're taking away their survival sources. We're putting their dead bodies in the streets of spiritual Sodom in Egypt. This is them. And here it is on display for you to see. That's why he said, thou shalt serve thine enemies. This is what our enemies do to us. Go ahead, bro.
Let me read it for you. Deuteronomy 28:30, 31. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes.
Y'all see that? And like I said again, how you show me when did the Negroes possess more oxen or more bison or more buffalo than the Native American Indians?
Their main source of food. And this man killed all of these.
Wow.
And literally made them go extinct for just nothing, not even for food, they literally did it to decimate the ranks of the Native Americans.
Wow.
Literally.
And they'll tell you that. And that's why a lot of these books, it goes into that. And then there's another one that I also have in the book that shows the hides. They took the skulls and they also took the skins, because that's where they get the leather and the suede and things like that to make garments with. So, this is something that the Most High is showing you. So when you look at that on this place called spiritual Sodom in Egypt, which we know is America, what group of people had their oxen taken from them from before their eyes on a wide scale? More than the Native American Indians. So this is when, like I said, you got to get rid of the cultural failure. We got to look, we got to read. We have to look up, travel. That's why the scriptures say a man that has traveled has much wisdom, because they're able to see other things outside of their own situation, outside of their own dominion and their own block or whatever. You have people that want to swear up and down they haven't even left the city and trying to speak on other things. If you haven't gone to another country, especially a so-called third world country, and seen the level of poverty, a lot of these things, that's why a lot of people can't see. Well, I don't even see how a lot of this Deuteronomy 28 doesn't really even apply to the Negro. Go into these countries and you'll see. Go to Jamaica and see. Go to Haiti. Go to the Dominican Republic. Go to Brazil. Go into Mexico. You got to go past Harlem and the projects of LA and South Central and things like that. Let me tell you something. Those housing units, even though it's still poverty, but that's like the Hilton Hotel compared to the poverty in the ghettos and slums of these other countries. And that's a fact. You can just look up slums of Brazil and look at how they look, and you'll be like, oh, well, God, oh my goodness. And you got our people tripping. They come up in a 30-foot or 50-foot high rise, even though it's a project housing unit. But look at the difference, and you'll be able to see. You'll look at your housing unit, look at their poverty level, and you'll be like, well, man, this is like vacation. But this is what our people have to see. So we see the. Now let's go back to where we were at in Deuteronomy 28 verse 48.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst,
and in
nakedness, and in want of all things.
So anything that the Israelites want, they got to go to their oppressor to get it. So does that apply only to the Negroes? That applies to the Hispanics. Now it's easy to say, well, everybody in America got to answer to the white man, but not at the same level. We got to remember, these other nations that come here to America to take advantage of its wealth and its opportunities, they have a land they can go back to. Rest assured, they have a language that they speak that's in their culture and heritage. But when you ask a Hispanic or a Native American or a Negro their language, rest assured their language that they speak belongs to their oppressor. Now, if that was only the situation with the Negro, then you got a point. But since that also applies to the so-called Indians and the so-called Hispanics, we got to take a minute. We got to consider this, because I've shown you at least 4 different prophecies that also pertain to them. Have we not? So in one of all things, read on.
and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
So that the shackles wasn't just on Negroes, it was on the Indians. It was on our Hispanic brothers and sisters. You got to remember, when they conquered the Aztecs and the Mayans, they chained them up, transported them as well. But our people can't see that because all they did is read Black history books. But the Most High is going beyond that. He said, listen, I'm not talking about I'm talking about the Israelites. And if we're going to talk about the Israelite, we got to talk about the whole nation. So if we know where the nation is going to reside and what some things that they're going to go through, we got to put it all under the microscope. And the fact is that the things that we're reading don't only pertain to the so-called Negro. But we can surely say the white race in America does not fit this bill. We can safely say the Japanese, the Chinese, the Vietnamese, the Persians, the whoever else of the other, even the Africans, they don't fit this bill in the Americas. Finish reading. Read verse 49. Watch this.
Verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation. This is perfect. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
So now, look at this. The Most High said, I'm going to bring a nation against you from far. Now, Remember, 70 AD, the Israelites, the tribe, the southern kingdom fled out of Israel, out of Jerusalem, fled into Africa, lived in Africa for over 1,500 years. And it wasn't until late 1500s that the British, some of the French, they came in, began the Dutch, what have you, came in and began to capture the Israelites that were in that portion of Africa and began to bring them into the Americas as slaves during the colonization period as workers. Okay. But now the Edomites came from Europe, went into Africa, right? Took them to another place. But did that only happen to Negroes?
Nope.
Well, where did the conquistadors come from to go into the Americas to destroy the Hispanics and the Native Americans and the brothers and sisters throughout the Caribbean islands?
Spain.
The same damn place.
That's why I had to pull this up, because right now as we speak in Mexico and some of these places, they're tearing down the Spanish monuments. They're literally tearing down the Spanish monuments. Like right here, this is Mexico City to swap Columbus statue for one of indigenous woman. Then you have more statues that the Latino people are decimating, like this one right here. You can look this up. This is another statue of a Spanish ruler. You see the 10 tribes.
Here's the question: why are they doing that?
Because they were their oppressors.
See,
and this is fact, and this is happening right now. So basically, another connection like you just made, the same way we're pulling down Confederate statues. Like, you know how it's a big thing where we're going and pulling down Confederate statues of like these people that were for the Confederate flag and all of that. They're in Mexico and in places in the Latin Americas pulling down Spanish monuments of the Spanish conquistadors, because the Spanish conquistadors were their oppressors. Come on, you can't. No other nation of people is doing that outside of us, with the Confederate statues, and the natives and the Latinos with the statues of the Spanish conquistadors, like this one, Christopher Columbus statue. And you can look this up in yourself and research it. All right. It says, I'm gonna just read this real quick. It says Mexico City governor has confirmed that a statue of an indigenous woman will replace the capital's Christopher Columbus monument. You understand? Because Christopher Columbus was their tormentor. And you can read it on your own. I just wanted to show y'all a little bit of that and just show the parallels of how the natives are going through the same things we're going through in their own respective places.
Absolutely. And that goes back to the prophecy earlier where it said they shall run to and fro and knowledge shall increase. Because now, they're also seeing and starting to wake up to, who they are as well. And all it's going to take is for our people. And that's why you have a lot of our brothers, Hispanic brothers and sisters, they're waking up and coming into this knowledge as the scriptures prophesy. That's also letting you know who they are. The Most High is not just waking up anybody. He's waking up his people. Remember, his sheep hear his voice. We got to look at that. So let's finish 49. I'm gonna move a little quicker now because I do want to get to some of these references and what have you.
I'm with you.
Appreciate the people, tuning in, and hopefully, you're learning and getting some edification. Let's finish that in verse 49.
Verse 49, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth.
So from the end of the earth. So you had the Caucasian coming from Europe, going into Africa to bring them to another area, to another hemisphere to be slaves, so-called Negroes. But then you had the Spaniards, the Spanish, the French, the Portuguese, going from their areas of Europe all the way to the Americas to come and afflict the people on that land. Look at this. Read on. Watch this.
It says, from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth.
How fast they did it. Read on. Watch this.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
So now, are the Negroes the only ones speaking their oppressor's language? Whose language does an African man speak over here? He still speaks Igbo. He still speaks his own language because he has not been ceased from his culture and his heritage. But what language does the Indian speak? The Native American?
Spanish.
Wow. And English. What about the Hispanic? What language do they speak? And whose language is it? The language that they had, the Aztec language, and the dialogue that they used prior to the conquistadors coming, that's been stripped. Oh, that's gone. Now you're left with the nation, with the tongue thou shalt not understand. We were taught our enemy's language. Read on, verse 50. Watch this.
Verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance.
So the nation that will come up against them will be fierce, deadly, treacherous. Read on.
Which shall not regard the person of the old.
What? Oh my goodness. From Columbus to Castro, got to watch it. It gives you hundreds of years of affliction that happened throughout the West Indies, throughout South and Central America. Oh my goodness. Lost tribes and promised lands. All from South America, the Caribbean islands, all the way back to the Americas. And these authors are telling you that, hey, these Hispanics, these Native American Indians, they're Jews. Bury my heart in wounded knees. And he goes into it. The wars and the rebellions that these Indians fought on the soils of America against their oppressor, not to be forced into taking their enemy's religion, not to be forced. And if they didn't, they were killed. And children were murdered. What did it say? Who would not regard the person of the old, no show favor to the young. There's a book called Devastation of the Indies by Bartolome de las Casas. Goes into all the treachery that was done by the Spanish throughout the Caribbeans. Cutting children, cutting open pregnant women. This is what was going on amongst the Hispanic and Native American Indian culture, in addition to what was going on with the Negroes. Don't exclude them. When you do that, you're making a big mistake. A huge mistake. Was all of that? Show favor to the young?
Yep, I read that.
Okay, that's all I need. Let's jump to Jeremiah 50:33. So now that we understand something, we got to get to another part of this. Jeremiah 50 and verse 33. So now that we know that the Israelites will be in the land of the north, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, also Babylon, going through a lot of the atrocities we just mentioned, we can see that that doesn't apply to everybody. It applies to a group of people, so the so-called Negroes, it applies to the Hispanics, it applies to the Native American Indians. So far, you cannot refute that the things that we've gone have not also applied to the Native American Indians and the Hispanic race as well. Why? Is because they're Israelites. That's why they're going through the same exact thing you're going through. That's why they speak the same enemy that you have. They also speak his language. The same things you want from your enemy, they're asking for the same thing. The same atrocities that and the man that did it to your forefathers did it to theirs. In the same land, in the same place, in the same fashion. You can't see that? You got to walk away with that. That something's wrong. That's a mental block now. Okay, so Jeremiah 50:33. Let's read.
Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33. Thus says the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah.
So the children of Israel and the children of Judah. Why is that important? Because remember, I covered it in the first lesson. The nation of Israel was split into two kingdoms. You had the northern kingdom, which were the 10 tribes, and you had the southern kingdom, which was called the kingdom of Judah, which consisted of Judah and Benjamin. But throughout history, you had where they intermingled and sought refuge in one another's lands and things like that. I covered that also in the book. So all this stuff we're talking about is covered extensively in the book with images and with references as well. So the children of Judah and the children of Israel. So in other words, saying that the northern and the southern kingdom, what will happen to them?
They were oppressed together.
They will be oppressed together. Now, this is a book of Jeremiah. This is in the time of Babylon. Now, why isn't that talking about that time? Because remember, the Babylonians only took the southern kingdom into captivity. The northern kingdom had long already went to Assyria. They weren't, the only time all the Israelites were in captivity was in Egyptian captivity. That's when all the tribes and the family of children of Israel were captive at the same time together. All other captivities that went after that were separate. When the Assyrians took the northern kingdom, they didn't take the southern. When the Greeks infiltrated Israel, they took and came into the southern kingdom. When the Babylonians came in and took Jerusalem, it was the southern kingdom. And when Rome, which was the last captivity of that land, it was just the southern kingdom. Why? Because the northern kingdom, after Assyria, they left. They didn't go back into the land of Israel. They went to another land that the scriptures call Arsareth. We're going to find out where Arsareth is. And then you're going to see who was here first. You understand? But it's telling you, so now one thing we're going to know is that you had all the nation of Israel, both the southern and the northern kingdom, oppressed together. That's why you can see the Negroes going through the exact same thing the Native Americans and Hispanics are going through. And they can go through the same thing that the Negroes is going through. Because why? The scripture said that they were oppressed together. Read on.
Excuse me. The children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast.
They held them fast. Read on.
They refused to let them go.
So why is the Hispanics still in bondage too? Why are they still going through the same thing Negroes is going through? Why is the Native Americans still? Why were they thrown on reservations? Look at that. Why was their land taken from them? Why are they going through the same situation? Well, the Native Americans don't live in projects. And so that's what do you think a reservation is?
Project.
That's a housing system. They were taken from the goodness that they had when they thrived in this land. That was snatched and taken from them, and now they're made to live on their own land in a very poor and impoverished state, speaking the enemy's language and going through the things that the scripture said, being oppressed by their oppressor. The same person that's oppressing so-called Negroes is oppressing the Negroes, the Hispanics, and the Native Americans. But the point is that in Babylon, in the spiritual Egypt and Sodom, Israel will be oppressed together. So that means all the tribes are there going through this, what's happening. So now let's find out about the 10 tribes. Let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 30. Let's go into Apocrypha. Let's get 2 Ezra chapter 13. 2 Ezra chapter 13. Let's read verse 40.
2 Ezra chapter 13, verse 40.
Because we have to find out, because when the northern kingdom or the 10 tribes went into Assyria, they didn't read it in the book of 2 Kings chapter 17. It tells you that they never went back to their land. Okay. Ezra's going to go into it a little bit more and show you, well, where did they go? And then where would they go to be able to meet up with the southern kingdom again? Okay. Let's read that. 2 Ezra chapter 13, verse 40.
Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Oasi, the king whom Shalmaneser,
and that's a Greek rendition of the name Hoshea. King Hoshea, which was the last king of the northern kingdom, okay, was carried away into Assyria. Okay, that was the northern kingdom, or the 10 tribes. Judah, which was the southern kingdom, Benjamin and those that resided with them, remained in Jerusalem, or Judea. Okay, go ahead.
Hosea, the king whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
Right, so they went into Assyria. So when you read the book of Tobit in the Apocrypha, he was in Assyria. He was in that captivity. Okay, so that situation, that captivity happened to the 10 tribes. So when they were released from this captivity, let's find out what happened. Go ahead.
Let them away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
So they carried away, they went into another land, Assyria. Read on.
But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
So now it said that they would take, so when they were released, they thought, should we go back to our land? But when you read in 2 Kings chapter 17, you'll find out that king, when they went after the 10 tribes left, the king brought in other nations to live in the land of Samaria, or the northern kingdom. So the 10 tribes said, well, we're not going to go back to our land. What did they do?
But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
So they wanted to leave from the multitude of the heathen of the nations. Go ahead.
And go forth into a further country.
Go ahead.
Where never mankind dwelt.
That could not be anything in the Middle Eastern region at all. It couldn't have been Asia Minor. It couldn't have been any of those there, because why? Mankind was living there. But funny is that when we look at where the Most High said the children of Israel would be in the later days, and we look at the Native Americans and we look at the Hispanics, we know they didn't come from Africa with the so-called Negroes. They were already here. And funny, they're going through the same level of atrocity under the same oppressor that the Negroes were going before the Negroes even came to America. So technically, Esau got to them first. Before the Negroes start getting afflicted. You see what's going on? But now the question is the bigger question is, well, where did the Native Americans and these Hispanics come from? Because Cologne, as they want to call him, or Columbus, when he set sail to go look for India, he embarked into the land of South America or the Caribbean island. You guys see that? And so now, but yet the region was full. There were already civilizations built. Where did that civilization come from? The Mayans, Olmec, the Toltec, the Aztec. You had kings in the lands of islands of Puerto Rico, throughout Cuba, all throughout. You had the Inca Empire, all in South America. How and where did they come from? But wait, it said that the 10 tribes, now mind you, this is the 7th century BC. The 10 tribes said they would go to a place where never mankind dwelt. So now the question is, who was dwelling in this land before them? Who was dwelling in this land known as America before the Indians and the Hispanics? So now you start to see why these authors start writing books, because they started to research. They started to say, well, wait a minute, we got to find the origin of these people that are calling themselves Indians over here. How did they get there? Where did they come from? Ironically, we see them, when we read the Bible, we see them going through and practicing a lot of things that the biblical Jews were doing. But we today can see the atrocities that these 10 tribes are going through, the same thing that the so-called Negroes is going through. In the same land that was prophesied, and they were also prophesied to be oppressed together. You guys see that? Why is that important? Because remember, this is called Sodom and Egypt, right? The scripture said this is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. When you go back to the last time Israel was oppressed together, it was in ancient Egypt, right?
Yep.
Who was there first?
Oh, yeah.
Who was in Egypt first?
Yeah, Joseph.
Joseph
Was. Yeah.
That's important.
Wow. Yep. Wow.
Who does Joseph represent in Israel? Ephraim, the northern kingdom.
Yep.
So in other words, the Most High is giving you a mirror. Exactly what happened in ancient Egypt is going to happen in this one. Joseph was already there. We could prove that. Let's go to let's go to Exodus. Let's go to Exodus chapter 1. Because remember, what did Joseph tell his brothers? The Lord had brought me here to prepare the way for you.
Wow. So it's literally paralleling how we got into Egypt, how we got delivered. Our whole struggle is shown in the first interaction with Egypt. And the spiritual version of Egypt.
Absolutely.
Ephraim being here first, which is Joseph.
That's right, because a lot happened in Egypt. Remember, Joseph was there first. Joseph is the father of Ephraim and Manasseh. And Ephraim became the father and the head of the 10 tribes, or the northern kingdom.
Yep.
So showing you he was already there before Judah, because remember, Judah played a major part of taking Benjamin to Egypt. What did Judah say? I'll watch him. Judah was the protector. So then Judah ended up in Egypt later, meeting the other tribes, other brothers. See that? And then what happened? They stayed there for what? 400 years.
400 years.
Ain't that about the same time we've been afflicted?
Amount of time. Yep.
And then what happened? They started learning the laws there. That's how they learned and kept the Passover.
Yep.
And then what happened?
Somebody said this is history repeating itself.
Absolutely. There's nothing new under the sun. And then they got delivered, right? Wow. Half the tribes, or did all the tribes get delivered?
All the tribes.
All the tribes. So that's why it's important that all Israel be oppressed together in this captivity of the spiritual Egypt, to be delivered together, and from all the other places too. But he gives this as an indicator so we can start deducting and reasoning as to who's who. But now read Exodus chapter 1, and let's read verse 8.
Okay, Khan. Salakia. Exodus.
Or you can read verse 7.
Exodus chapter 1, verse 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly. And
now, did that not happen while the 10 tribes were over here?
Yep.
Because it said they went to a land where neither mankind dwelt. And I'm going to show you where a lot of these scholars say is Arsareth, which is America. But the Most High already showed us, because he told us where Israel will dwell in the later days. Is spiritual Egypt and Sodom, and also Babylon, which we identified already as America. So all the tribes will be in America in the later days.
Yep.
But who was here first before the rest of the tribes came? So it says, and the children of Israel were fruitful and increased. Go ahead.
Exceeding mighty.
No, read
Oh,
from the
I'm
top
sorry.
of it.
And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly.
So now, when the conquistadors and the Spaniards came to the Americas and began to encounter the natives that were here, were few or were they abundantly and increased?
Abundantly.
Did they have kingdoms and pyramids and all that set up? You can see the ruins of them still. Go into the Yucatan, go into Mexico, and see the pyramids of Chichen Itza. Go into Tulum. Go into South America. Look at the Machu Picchu in Peru. Go look at the same replica of what was in ancient Egypt. Who built those pyramids? When the Israelites were put to work under Egyptian bondage. Mm-hmm. The same people that's building up all of this land today. Now watch this. Read on.
Exceeding mighty.
And they wax exceeding mighty. We're not the Aztecs and Mayans, the Native American Indian savage warriors or fierce warriors that later turned savage. The scriptures talk about that too. Some of them, not all of them, began to start taking on some savage ways, but human sacrifice, all that. The scriptures talk about that. Okay. But they were fierce Iroquois Indian. I mean, big time.
And the land was filled with them.
So the Americas were already possessed when the Spaniards came over here talking about they so-called discovered the Americas. But where did these Aztecs and them come from? They had to come from somewhere because everybody comes from Adam, right?
Yeah.
So originally their homeland had to be in the Middle East because that's the mother of all civilization. But it's funny how the 10 tribes was going to go to a far country where never mankind dwelt, right? But read this now. So the land was filled with them. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
I'm sorry. Read verse 5.
Verse 5. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls.
So all the sons of Jacob and the offspring grandchildren were 70 souls. Read.
For Joseph was in Egypt already.
See, Joseph was in Egypt already and became great and built cities and were mighty, and the land was filled with them. That's why when the Spaniards came over here and they had a force to be reckoned with. That's why they had to have the Jesuit priests come and take notes and study them so that they can go back, send reinforcements of how to conquer them. All of this stuff is going back to manifest destiny, which was their code for coming to take this land from them. So now Joseph was in Egypt already. So now that we see what's happening in this modern Egypt, who was here already prior to so-called Negroes or Judah coming into this land?
I don't, how can it get more simpler than that, Elder?
Man.
Like you literally, and I hate to say this, but you literally laid the premise to show that there will be a land.
Man.
The first thing people want to think, whether they want to argue or not, they're going to think America.
Right.
Period. Because America was a new world. There was no other world you can prove to me was a new world, and whatever the case may be. It wasn't even on the map prior to what, 1940?
Right.
It wasn't even on the map, the world maps. They're oppressed together. When we got over here, these people were already oppressed. And it says that they will be in Egypt already.
Yeah.
It literally says the northern kingdoms will be in Egypt already. I don't understand how much more simpler we got to get. And I know, and I'm because the battery's going to die. I want to let you read your excerpt. But I really want to, it's a sister on here, and she's been asking legit questions, and I believe she's been getting edified. And if she wants to talk more, here's her name right here. Angela Robinson. You can email us at believersoftheway 144k@gmail.com. Email us if you want to get more things talked about. But what you got to understand is with the whole land thing, and I just want to read this real quick, and I'm gonna give it right back to the elder, because I think her big hiccup is, well, they got land, they got Mexico, they got land. So that's what she's saying. The Mexicans got land, the Native Americans got land, they got land. You know, her whole thing is they got land. For one, this is not the land that the Most High has given us, for one. So you got to understand that. And for 2, that also fulfills a prophecy, because when you read Deuteronomy 28:51, it says, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land.
That's right. And the land's not theirs.
And the land is not theirs. It says he shall eat the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed. We know this is not Israel. So what land is it talking about? It's talking about the land that they reside in. That's what it's talking about. So it still fits the biblical narrative, even if you're saying they're in Mexico, they're in such and such, they're in such and such. Remember, the white man still controls those areas. That's why he has resorts in those areas. He still has power in those areas. That's why Che Guevara and Fidel Castro was trying to overthrow the government, because the white man puts the people he wants in power in these places, right? So they eat the fruit of their land, okay? So I just want to bring that out. Go ahead, Elder. I know you want to read your answer.
Let's finish up that in Second Ezra. So Joseph was in Egypt already, okay?
Huh? What, okay, let me plug it up real quick. Okay, you want that Ezra's, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chapter 13, where we were. Yeah, it's once you get into it, you really start looking at it, it makes all the sense in the world, because it's legit to ask questions, but the main thing is that you have to really, let's take away the biasness and really look at the facts of what the Most High said Israel will go through.
You hear? Okay.
Okay.
Let's read what you want to
Second Ezra, where we were at, chapter 13.
Second Ezra chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
Read on.
But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Where never mankind dwelt. Read on.
That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
So they were hoping to keep the commandments that they had in their own land, okay? And that they didn't keep in their land. So they were hoping to go to this place, keep the commandments, and try to make things right between them and the Most High, okay? That's why you will see certain, when I'm gonna read a few of some of this biography.
You got time? It's working.
We're good. Okay, yeah. Cool.
I think it was the mixer, probably.
Okay, well, cool. So let's continue on. So nonetheless, read on.
It says, verse 43, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over.
So he held the waters for them to be able to navigate in these seas. Go ahead.
For through that country there was a great way to go.
So it wasn't near, because if you look at Asia Minor, you look at these places, those weren't great. Our forefathers and Paul, they were traveling Asia Minor all the time. That was nothing for them to get to, okay? But this was, remember, it said a place where never mankind dwelt. How long would it take for them to get there?
It says, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
So it would take that long of a journey to get to this place where never mankind dwelt. Okay, so when you start to look and look at how long it took for them to circumnavigate the globe, it took like 3 years. But to get halfway across is going to take you a year and a half, right? So these are some of the things that what the scriptures are showing you. How did these so-called Native American Indians, how did these Hispanics get into this land to have these great kingdoms that the scripture said, be oppressed by this man who would come from way on the other side of the earth, who would not regard the person of the old nor show favor to the young, that would take them, slay their oxen, destroy them, put a yoke of iron on them. How does this not apply to them too?
The land that they
a language that's not theirs.
Not theirs.
The fruit of their land, the fruit of their crops and all that should be taken from them. How can that not apply? So let me go into some of this. I'm gonna read. I gave the list in the first video. You could go over that. I'm gonna go over a little bit of, but I want to read some of this stuff about Arswith. So this is coming from the book Origins of the American Indians, okay, by L. Huddleston. And this is page 35. And I'm just going to read some key parts, how he talks about and goes into showing where Arswith is and what their research has led them to believe. The scriptures already showed us that when you keep reading in that second Ezra 13, it says the land was called Arswith, which means not known land, because it said they're going to go to a place where never mankind dwelt. But now that we can see the prophecies and knowing what we read in Revelation, we know that that land ended up being what? America, because all the tribes of Israel will be oppressed together. So the land that the 10 tribes went to had to be in this area, because this is where Israel would be in the later days. Okay. And so it says page 35 in Origins of the American Indians, it says Luminous, which was a Dutch theologian, says introduced most of the theological arguments which were later advanced to indicate a Hebrew origin for the Indians. Okay, he goes into some other things. I just want to get right to the point. Get the book, you can read it on your own. It says briefly, Luminous's agreement was that the 10 tribes of Hebrews exiled to various parts of the Assyrian Empire by Shalmaneser had escaped to Arsareth, which Luminous identified as America. Okay, so then here's another one. And this is coming from Origins of the American Indians, page 39. It says, furthermore, he noted the Indians of Mexico had traditions of long journeys, such as the one from Assyria to Arsareth.
Called America. How can you?
Wow. Now watch this. Origins of the American Indians, page 69. The fullest statement of the 10 tribes, the lost 10 tribes theory, relied on the apocryphal 4 Ezras, which we just read. The story of the journey to Arsareth was presented in full discussion of Suarez de Peralta. Many writers identified Arsareth as America. These scholars, and these are people who's doing their research, traveling to these places, like Antonio de Montesinos, who's a traveler, goes throughout South America, encounters certain tribes, and these tribes are identifying themselves as Israelites, telling themselves, we're the tribe of Reuben. You know what I mean? So this is what's going on. So let me back up. Let me get some other things here. I'm just going to read some of these accounts.
I'm realizing, Elder, that even though a lot of this knowledge we've been going over through the years, a lot of people haven't heard this. A lot of people is like confused like that. When you brought out Azareth, somebody was like, "Wow, that's profound." So they're coming in the truth, but it's just an influx of just black people saying they're the only Israelites. That's what they've been hearing.
Right.
They ain't been hearing none of this.
And that's why the Most High has us identifying and looking at what's taking place with the Israelites. So we don't look at what's happening to one group of people. Let's look at what the Most High said will befall the Israelites, and let's see who fits that description. That's what we have to do. And then that way we're able to take some of the blinders off. So this is some going into some of the things about the Native. I'm really touching on a lot of the Native American Indians and the Hispanics, because they're also often neglected, as you've been mentioning. We know Babylon the Timbuktu, page 84. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. We talk about that so much. I also cover a lot of it in the book, but I really want to touch that because of the fact that a lot of our brothers, they come in, and I don't want them to feel disheartened thinking that this knowledge is not for them. They're going through the same thing we're going through, and our people have to learn to understand that and see that. So this is the book Indians or Jews. I have up here, but it goes, this is page 57. It says, like so many others, King, which was an Irish antiquarian, rather, he says, like so many others, King becomes passionately convinced that the Mexican Indians were in reality descendants of the lost 10 tribes. Now, what's interesting is these are Edomites. Now, wait a minute. We got to look at Esau has all the access to the libraries. He has access to all the museums. He has all this archaeology, all of these writings. You want to look at the writings in Egypt? Esau took all that. He went in and excavated all the places in Egypt and Israel and Greece and throughout all the areas of the Middle East. And he's taken these documents and taken these relics and put them in his museums. And he dissected them. And now he's telling you out of his own mouth, this is your enemy. He's not misguiding you because the scriptures are identifying that. He's showing you that, wait a minute, because Esau's big about finding out things. Remember, he's a cunning hunter. He's looking, we got to find out who these Israelites are. What else could they be? Well, when we start looking at how they behave, they look like a lot of things and traditions they keep that the Jews kept. When we're seeing how they got here, well, wait a minute, have to be. They speak a dialect similar to Hebrew. How could they know that, being way over here and the Jews is way over there in the Middle East? But remember, it said that the 10 tribes would travel to a place where never mankind dwelt.
Never mankind dwelt. Come.
Then you have some simple Negroes. Oh, see, that was talking about Russia and all that. Really? The children of Japheth occupy Russia already for centuries. But it's funny how no nations were here. But the people that were speaking dialects of Hebrew, that were wearing fringes on their garments, like Numbers 15 tells us to, that were keeping certain feasts that were similar to what you read in the scriptures, had dietary laws. Okay, let me read some more. This is page Indians or Jews, the book Indians or Jews by Manasseh ben Israel, page 49. And this is talking about James Adair's book, Origin of the American Indians. It says pages 1 to 16 give Adair's version of the history of the North American Indians and observations of their descent. Pages 16 to 231 list 23 arguments in proof of the American Indians being descended from the Jews. So you have people writing these documents, bringing history, bringing archaeological fact, traveling to these places, taking translators, speaking with the natives. The natives, now remember, amongst any tribe, they always have their elders. The elders had tradition where they always speak in related information and related history down to the next generation. These elders had history and recollect that, hey, we descend from a people from the East. They were saying these things. They were like, well, who? It was like, well, our forefathers told us we come from a people that was known to be the children of the Lord. Watch this. So it says, in full proof that the American Indians being descended from the Jews. Their division into tribes, their worship of Jehovah or Yahweh. It says their notions of theocracy, their belief in the ministration of angels, their language and dialects, their manner of counting time, their prophets and high priests, their festivals, fasts, and religious rites, their daily sacrifice, their oblations and anointings, their laws of uncleanness, their abstinence from unclean things, their marriage, divorce, and punishment for adultery for several punishments. There's several punishments. Their cities of refuge, their purifications and ceremonies preparatory for war, their ornaments, their manner of curing the sick, their burial of the dead, their mourning for the dead, their raising of seed to a deceased brother, wow, their choice of names adopted to their circumstance and times. You guys see what's going on? Here's another one. Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, page 364. A brief conversation then ensued in their common ancestral tongue, according to Montesinos, whose fluency in it is almost perplexing to the reader of his narrative, as is that of his three mysterious new companions. So this traveler, or this Portuguese explorer named Antonio de Montesinos, went to Ecuador. He was in South America. He encountered some Indians there. Okay, so this is what these Indians tell him. It says, through, of course, an interpreter. It says they told him that they themselves were of the tribe of Reuben, and that the tribe of Joseph lived on an island nearby. Wow. So how is it that these Indians are acknowledging that they're of descendants of different families of the Israelites? Okay. Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, page 364. So Montesinos goes back to Europe, right? And remember, he's an Edom. So he always looked at Indians as savages and Negroes as niggas and all of that. And he admits this. He's saying this. These savages and these untamed and uncivilized people, he always figured himself to be above them. But watch what he says. He says, while he's thinking on these things, he says, blessed be the name of the Lord, who has not made me an idolater, a barbarian, a Negro, an Indian. When suddenly he stopped, he thought to himself, those Indians, he told himself, they are Hebrews. Pondering this thought incredulously and yet with growing conviction. So here's a dude who hated Indians and hated Negroes, all that, but yet he starts to think, because of all his research, start to convict him. And he starts to say, wait a minute, now that I'm thinking about it, these Indians are actually Negroes. These Indians are actually Israelites. They're Hebrews. Why? How? It goes more. Okay, Lost Tribes of Promised Land, page 363. It says, he had heard some of his Indian guides remark that the natives of that country deserved all the suffering that they had undergone at the hand of the Spaniards. When he asked them to explain why they had thought such a thing, they had replied mysteriously that it was because we so badly treated a holy people, the greatest in the world. Nothing more had been offered of them on this point. But later in the same conversation, Francisco, one of the Indian guides, had declared that his countrymen would be avenged of the Spaniards in time anyway by means of a people now hidden. So how did these Indians know that the Spaniards that conquered them will eventually get their just due in due time? Is that not prophesied? Is not the battle already won? Who's going to win this war? Israel, right?
Yep.
We know that. You understand? So this is another one. Lost Tribes of Promised Land, page 364. Here's this woman, this Indian woman they meet. Okay. He says, upon hearing her words, they rose, went over to Montesinos, into his utter astonishment, said, Shema Yisrael Adonai Allahu Adonai Ahad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is our Lord is one. They had recited in Hebrew the fundamental credo of Judaism. How did these Indians know this dialect of Hebrew if they were not descendants or had any type of history or ancestry of the children of Israel? You understand? Lost Tribes and Promised Land, page 365. It says, I'm going to get right to the point. It says, only the sorcerers of his tribe had perceived that they were a special people and had given warning that they should be left alone. So when the Spaniards were coming up against them, you had the priests of them of the Indians that were saying, you better watch what you're doing, because the God of the creator of the world is our God and we're his children. Right? So they were letting them know. And it says, and we better be left alone. The God of these children of Israel is the true God. So these were Indians were saying. How is this? Let's read page Lost Tribes of Promised Land, page 368. It says, and did yet know what was become of the 10 tribes of Israel. Manasseh, which is Manasseh ben Israel, one of the historians that's wrote one of these books, he says, had answered that at least some of them were in America. And Winslow, who himself often observed customs among the Indians of a perpetually Judaic character. So they're able to see the things that these Indians are going through that resemble laws and customs of the Hebrews, of the Israelites. Okay. Origins of the American Indians, page 33. There are, however, hints scattered throughout the early literature which indicate that the opinion that the Indians were descendant of the Hebrews was current and discussed. And this is as early as 1511. So you had in the early 1500s, they were already saying, wait a minute, these Indians that we're encountering, they got to be the descendants of Israel, because like, where they come from? Who are they? Why are they resembling a lot of these Jews in antiquity? They got to be descendants. But wait, that goes to show you that their history and their thoughts were right, because the Most High said all Israel was oppressed together. The 10 tribes was in Egypt already.
Yep.
But yet they all shall be oppressed together, because what happened? Remember, when the 10 tribes came over here, they set up kingdoms. You had the mighty kingdoms. They multiplied greatly, just like Joseph did in Egypt, right? And then what happened? 1600s, here comes the kingdom of Judah to join their brothers in the spiritual Egypt to undergo their bondage together. And they're able to go, and as you see, now they're going through the same exact thing. The same man's oppressing them. They're all speaking the enemy's language. The enemy's foot is on all of their necks. Let me ask you this. Who's afflicting the black man?
So-called Caucasian man.
Who's afflicting the Indians?
So-called Caucasian man.
Is that a coincidence?
Not at all. Scriptural.
Wow. What nation in America is afflicting the Chinese?
They free to open up nail salons and do whatever the hell they want.
Hurry up and buy.
They got reparations when they did Hiroshima, and they got put in them concentration camps for that little bit of time. America gave them all reparations.
Wow. What they give us?
Nothing. Oh, we can vote.
The game is rigged, y'all.
Man, that's you know what I'm realizing, Elder?
The game is rigged, y'all.
You know what I'm realizing, Elder? That we've been doing this for some time now, right? You 20 plus, right? 20 plus?
Yep.
You 20 plus, me
27 years.
You 27 years, me going on 12. And sometimes I think, like I can speak for myself, we forget how many new people wake up every day, especially with this whole Kanye West thing. So a lot of this basic knowledge that we kind of know, that I learned from you and you just been on for years, a lot of these people, this is their first time hearing this. They're literally like, I had no idea about a lot of this information, the history of how the early Spanish conquistadors came and wrote logs about how the Native Americans were Hebrews and the whole nine. And I really too, good thing this speaker is working now. I want the people to look up the Los Lunas Decalogue stone. Okay, Decalogue literally means 10 commandments. All right, the Los Lunas Decalogue stone is a stone found in a city in New Mexico, which is a city of the moon. That's what it means, Los Lunas. And it's a stone with the 10 commandments inscribed on it. Do your research. I know a couple of brothers that have sent me pictures that personally went to go visit this stone. You can literally go visit this stone of the 10 commandments written in Hebrew found in New Mexico. You also have the Bat Creek stone. All right, the Bat Creek stone, which is an inscription in Hebrew as well. And it was also found, I believe this one was found, I'm not sure, I got to see where this one was found, but you can research it. Just type in Bat Creek stone. And this was also found in the South Americas, okay? And I also want to give you this one too. It's the Newark Holy Stone. All right, it's also a Decalogue stone. It has the 10 commandments inscribed on it as well. Here's a picture of this stone, and this stone was also found in the South and Central Americas as well. Check these archaeological facts out. They don't want you to know about these particular stones, and literally have Hebrew inscription on it, and it's found in the Americas. All right, so go check that information out, as well with the history the elder brought out, as well with the scriptures and the prophecy that was brought out. You want to bring something else out, elder? Go ahead.
Oh yeah,
go ahead. Yeah, bring out some more.
So Indians or Jews, page 46. Now he goes back into, the book Indians or Jews is because he labeled it that, or titled that book that, is because, for years, the Native Americans were called Indians. And he said, well, are they truly Indians, or are they actually Jews based upon history, based upon archaeology and research? What are they? So he says, for their origin, I am ready to believe them of the Jewish race. I mean, of the stock of the 10 tribes. And that for the following reason: first, they were to go to a land not planted or known. Well, that is actually the definition of the word Arsareth. Let's go back to, and this is going to make it even crystal clear. Let's go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 13.
40?
And no, we read, remember, these are the 10 tribes that went to a further country where mankind dwelt, right? Okay.
44. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
That's how long it would take them, the 10 tribes, from the land of Assyria all the way to the land of Arsareth, which we're showing you. Scholars have identified Arsareth as America. The scriptures show you that the 10 tribes will go and be oppressed in America or Babylon or spiritual Egypt with the rest of the tribe. But watch this, it's gonna make it even clearer. Go ahead.
For through that country there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. Excuse me.
Go ahead. Now watch this.
Then dwelt they there.
Listen to it. It says then, so the 10 tribes traveled, took a year and a half to get to the land of Arsareth, right? Then dwelt they there. Go ahead.
Then dwelt they there until the latter time.
The latter time. Go ahead.
And now when they shall begin to come, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace.
See that? Why? Because when they get delivered, they're going into their own land. They're going back to Israel in peace. So it said that they would go to Arsareth, right? And be there until the latter times. Well, we just showed you in the latter times that the children of Israel will be where? In a place called spiritual Sodom and Egypt, also called Babylon. All Israel will be oppressed together. So then where's the 12 tribes? And when did they come? So it's obviously it's letting you know that Osiris has to be America. And then the scholars did their research and they backed and confirmed what the Bible was saying. And the prophecies that were to occur with the Jews in the latter days apply both to the Negroes, to the Native American Indians, and also to the Hispanic brothers and sisters as well. How are you gonna get around that?
How can you? We not that good.
How are you gonna get around that?
We not that good. You can't. You can't make that up that good.
Man,
Con. Go ahead. You want to pull some
I'm
more?
gonna grab a couple more.
Yeah, grab some
This
more.
is the book called Yucatan Before and After the Conquest. Okay, it says some old men of Yucatan say that they heard from their ancestors that this country was peopled by a certain race who came from the east, whom God delivered by opening for them 12 roads through the sea. If this is true, all the inhabitants of the Indies must be of Jewish descent. And when it speaks of the Indies, it's speaking about the West Indies. Okay, so it's showing you that these scholars are actually going through researching and what have you. I want to get another thing really quick.
Con. Yep. Grab.
This is Origins of the American Indians, page 38. He concluded that the Indians must be descended from the Jews. And it says his opinion was based on the strange ways and customs and the lowly conversation of the natives, their way of life, ceremonies, rites, and superstitions, omens, and hypocrisies. Also, like the Jews, that the Indians themselves must be Jews. Origins of American Indians, page 71. It says the Incas held a festival in March similar to the Passover. The Yucatan Indians practiced circumcision. Mexicans and Incas had external altar fires. Like you'll find, I'm gonna give you even some scriptures that go with that. Exodus chapter 12 and Exodus 12 and 48. Mexican and Incas had eternal altar fires. Leviticus chapter 6 verse 13. Some Nicaraguans would not allow women who had recently given birth into the temple. That was a law, Leviticus 12 verses 1 through 8. Other parts of the law observed at various places include those which said that men should not sleep with women who had recently given birth. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 19. If a master slept with a slave, both were whipped. Exodus chapter 21. Adulteresses were to be stoned. Leviticus 20 and 10. Men and women must not wear each other's clothes. Deuteronomy chapter 22 and 5. And a widow must marry her nearest male relative, which is a duty of the brother's wife, which is found in Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 5. So coincidentally, all these Indians are practicing things that were already written in the law, which we now see are in the Bible. Man, come on.
And it's so funny. You can bring all this history out. You'll still get, and you can tell when it's just people that just come in and they're not really listening. They just stumbled in and they seen the title and they just talking. Because if they would have been listening, they would have been understanding that anything they say doesn't sound right. It sounds quite foolish. And I'm gonna make an example of this real quick with Lady, real quick. She said, "Yep, the Indians got reparations, and the Indians say their ancestors are Chinese. Native Americans and Chinese look just like each other." Okay, black people say they're Egyptian. Black people say they're African. Black people say they're Indian.
Right.
Black people say they're mixed with white. They're white.
Right.
Black people say they're the original man from ancient Kemet. Black people say they're the original man from Ethiopia. What are you saying? Like, what are you saying? Just like black people in America are lost and claim to be other nations, the Native Americans are lost and they claim to be other nations.
Absolutely.
So what is really like these vague arguments that don't really hold no weight against the history that you then pulled out? It makes no sense. They all think that they're other people. All our people. Actually, I think that would fit the curses. Bywords, right?
Yep.
They that actually, lady,
Proverbs
they're proverbs and bywords. Just like they think they're Chinese, from what you say, black people think they're Egyptians and Kemet and a Kabbalah and all of that. So what is your point? And a black person will fight you tooth and nail and tell you he's not no damn Hebrew Israelite. A black Afro saint. Look at Sankofa and the goddamn who got the braid, Shaka Utmost and Polite and all of these Kemet scholars, they will argue you for hours and tell you they're not a damn Hebrew Israelite. So your point is vague and stupid, and it holds no weight. We just pulled out historical facts from historical authors and writers and travelers that they documented that these people were the nation of Israel. And not only that, we pulled out archaeology, we pulled out scripture, we pulled out the whole nine. Lady, just go back, watch the video, and get that hate out your heart for your butt. We got to pull that scripture too. The envy of Judah will leave. Let me pull that. Yeah, Sinetta. Yeah, Sinetta. Who does Sinetta say he is? He African too. They all African.
His DNA. He had his ancestry.com. Back to the motherland. He may very well be African.
Right.
That's what it is. I'm not gonna argue, man. Want to claim what he is on him? Who am I to tell him? No, you're not.
Right.
If he want to believe he African, his roots might be deep. His ancestry may go back to that. I mean,
right.
It is what it is.
I want to read this one too. Isaiah 11:13. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim.
Right.
You black people, y'all gonna stop bullying the Mexicans at school.
For real.
Mexicans be playing soccer, not minding their own business, and you got ignorant black people gonna go mess with them and kick their soccer ball over the fence and start a race riot. And you 10 tribes, you Mexicans gonna stop talking about us in Spanish. We gonna stop fighting over who got the parking spots in the hood. Because you know that's what we fight. The Mexicans, they taking all the parking spots. They taking, you gonna stop. Exactly. Blacks and Mexicans are the only people that are allowed to beef with each other, and it's not seen as hateful.
Right.
If I do it with a white person, I'm hateful, I'm evil, and vice versa with Mexicans, because they put their hair, they want to be like the white man too. But Black and Hispanics can beef with each other. Like, it's funny to me, my family members, they can complain Mexicans taking all the job. Does that make you racist? Well, I guess you a hypocrite then. You call me racist because I don't like the white man, but you talk about the Mexican man. The same way you talk about, well, aunties, uncles, all the goddamn Mexicans. Well, you a hypocrite because you mad at me because I talk about the white man. But that's prophecy. That's Isaiah 11:13. The envy and the hatred and the vitriol is going to leave from Ephraim and Judah, whether you niggas like it or not. I just got to be honest.
It is, and that's a good point because, you know, our people, you know, that's that divide, that division that they've done to us, you know, and that's how they conquered us because that's how it was in history too. Remember, the Northern and Southern Kingdom was at war, and it's still. Remember, there's nothing new under the sun. The same exact thing. Same exact thing. I'm gonna get a few more.
Yeah,
it says this is Indians or Jews, page 23. It says the belief that the Americans were of the 10 tribes of Israel held the upper hand for centuries. When it says Americans, talking about the American Indians, held the upper hand for centuries. In the face of the mystery of the Indians' origin, it was necessarily to find a biblical or at least ancient authority for their presence. Consequently, they could easily find parallels between the strange customs of the Hebrews and similar ones in Americas. Indians or Jews, page 45. If a report of Manasseh ben Israel be to back them, he saw likewise the judgments threatened upon the Israelites of old, strangely fulfilled upon Indians. So here's another scholar reading Deuteronomy 28 that was supposed to happen to the Jews. He said, strangely, I see them fulfilled upon the Indians. And we just showed you. And going back to your point, you know, we can just say what they want to say. It's not an opinion. We're not giving an opinion. We're not going what the scriptures are saying, and we're also backing it up with resources. You know, and that's why the scripture is blunt in that fashion when it says, prove all things. Bring forth your strong reasons. Don't just say, the Negro, they're the only Jew. And where's your facts?
Right.
Bring facts that refute these things.
Man.
refute this. Watch this. I'm going to show you another one that pertains chiefly so that you can see. This is Indians or Jews, page 68. It says, Israel brought into this new continent a considerable degree of civilization, and the better part of them long labor to maintain it. Okay, so it's saying that a lot of the things that you see, the civilization architecture, things that the pyramids, the way the pyramids were even structured and built, the layout of them, things that they're still trying to break down now that they can't figure out. You know what I'm saying? Even with all Esau's technology and his architecture, he still can't understand how would these people cutting these stones in these dimensions and these measurements and shapes able to put them perfectly into place. He said some of them were more elaborate than what was in Egypt. You understand? So he said they brought a great degree of civilization to the Americas, right? And it says, so even if you go into a lot of the things that the Indians, they were doing brain surgeries, they were doing operations, you know, so a lot of medical field things that these medical doctors and what have you, our brothers and sisters was doing that first in this America. But watch this. It says, but others fell into hunting and consequently a savage state. Now, why is this? See, and that's a reason why a lot of Negroes don't want to claim the Hispanics, because they say, no, because when you look at the Aztec, they was eating people and they was
Bring that up.
the scriptures tell you that the Jews was doing that in Jerusalem during the 70 AD siege. They were eating each other. So don't think it just applies to one. We weren't doing that. It was over there. You watch the movie Apocalypto and see, yeah, look at them. They don't grow beards and all that. Got a lot of Negroes that don't grow beards. You got a lot of Negroes that shave off their face.
I still don't have them.
But then you got a lot of Indians that do grow. See, that type of stuff you can't wear. You got a lot of brothers receding with no hair at all. So what does that mean? What nation does that make you? But those are the things that our people get caught up on, looking and seeing these things like, oh, we don't human sacrifice. But let's see. Let's go to Psalms 106. And let's see what were the Israelites doing that's similar to what the 10 tribes were doing in this land.
Somebody asked who that book was written by.
Which one?
I believe the one.
The last one I read was Indians or Jews by James Adair.
Okay, go on. Psalms 106.
I'm sorry, by Manasseh ben Israel. Indians or Jews.
And real quick, you Indians or Jews. I think you're gonna put it in there. Whoever this is, Absent Israel, go watch the whole class, because don't just come in here and start talking. Please go watch the whole class, because he's saying stuff we already dealt with. Go watch the whole class. Stop coming in here like you a scholar and you ain't even watched the whole class. Go watch the whole class, please, and then make your assumption, and then maybe we could debate it. Go ahead.
So it said that the Israelites, speaking about those that were in the Americas, of the Native American Indians, Hispanics, brought a great degree of civilization, right? It said, but consequently, some fell into the savage state, right? So, and when it says a savage state, going back to human sacrifice, beheading, taking out hearts, idol worship, you know, so a lot of those things that the 10 tribes were doing are Hispanic, but so-called Negroes was doing that too. Okay, but they try to take that off of the Southern king, just throw it on the Hispanics. But here's the truth: is that the 10 tribes were greatly into these things, and that's why the Most High said, "Ephraim is turned unto idols; leave them alone." The Northern Kingdom had went so far; they went overboard with the idolatry. But Psalms 106, let's start at verse 34.
Psalms chapter 106, verse 34. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them,
right,
but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works.
See that? It says, so the Israelites were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. It's talking about when we were in Israel. Okay, so it goes back. So now, mind you, the things that they learned then, they carried with them too. Remember what it said in Ezra, that they might keep the laws there.
Yep.
Okay, but then eventually that old beast raises itself up in our people, just like us now. Okay, we turn to our savage state. Go ahead.
What was that? I'm sorry, I lost
106 verse 34.
34. I'm sorry, I was looking at 31. They did not destroy the nations concerning them, whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works.
So Israel learned the works of the heathen. Go ahead.
And they served their idols, which were a snare unto them.
And we served their idols then. And now you look at it, we're doing the same thing now. You know, we had medicine men and built totem poles and in high places and things. The same thing our brothers was doing over there in the Northern Kingdom, building high places to worship the gods that they believed in, the moon and the stars and the wind and all this other stuff. They did the same exact thing here. We don't watch this, and let's get to human sacrifice. Go ahead.
Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters.
So when you see these sacrificial wells throughout South and Central America, and these certain places where they were making human sacrifices, they were doing it in Israel. Go ahead.
Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils.
See, unto devils. Go ahead.
And shed innocent blood.
See, that stuff they were doing even in their land, and that came and carried over with them into that time when they were over in the Americas as well. Go ahead.
Even the blood of their sons and their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan.
You see that? So the same images of Canaan that were being followed were also starting to be followed in America. That's why I said ultimately some turned into the savage state, going back to these particular ways. So when you start to see these things or read about these activities taking place, don't be alarmed. Israel was doing it then. There's nothing new under the sun, right? Go ahead.
And shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto idols of Canaan. And the land was polluted with blood.
See that? And the land was polluted with blood. This is where you get into the tribalism that started to happen amongst the Indians, the beheading of their own, not just the enemy and the oppressor. They started to do this. But is that any different than what's going on today with gang violence? Abortion? Is that anything that's different now that our people are highly prevalent in? You see, so these are the things that our people really look at. I'm going to show you another one really quick. Deuteronomy 28. Everybody good?
Hey,
y'all sleepy?
Nah, it's some people they locked in.
I don't know. If we want to keep going, we can keep going. Or we can
in the spirit. And a lot of, like I said, a lot of people they haven't really, they're new to the truth, and a lot of this elderly breaking down is needed in the community because this is a lost art. You know, a lot of these things are lost within just new people coming in, and they might not be as sharp as how you guys used to be brought up us. Like, that's why I really wanted to key in on and bringing this home, because a lot of people don't know this information. So it's going to be powerful for us to get this out to our Native American and 10 tribe brothers, that they can wake up and the movement can be so much more powerful. You think you seen the Israelite army? Shoot, imagine when your 10 tribe, the Latino and Native American brothers get hand in hand. Esau ain't gonna know what to do, man. Esau ain't gonna know what to do. But Con, what you want 28 and
I want 28 and verse 54.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother.
So it said that man that's tender among you, very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother. So when we look at brotherly violence, brotherly robbery, who falls victim to these things? So if you look at remember again, look at the nations that's in America. Who is more destructive towards his brother out of the races that are here?
Nobody more than blacks and Latinos.
For real. So just look at the blacks among themselves with the violent drug and gang violence. The same thing happens amongst the Native Americans and the Hispanics. The same brotherly or lack of brotherly love that happens, because we're taught to hate ourselves, while the other nations, they come to America and they pull together their resources and thrive. We don't. Our people want to stay separate and divided, and that's why we constantly never get ahead, because we're constantly in that state of division. Even now among Israel, we still have that mind state. That was how our people thought. Oh, we got to bring ourselves together now. Okay, but watch this. Read on.
His eye shall be evil toward his brother and toward the wife of his bosom.
Domestic violence. Let's look at domestic violence. His eye shall be evil toward his wife of his bosom. If you look at the races that suffer at the highest rates of now. All people have domestic stuff going on, but when you look in this land of Egypt, Babylon, Sodom, that the Israelites will be oppressed together. What nation of people? And you can look this stuff. Look up these statistics. I invite you. Look up domestic races amongst domestic violence. You're going to see Negroes, Hispanics, Native American Indians at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Not just Negroes, all of them. But I even let's deal with poverty, because remember it said that we shall be oppressed in everything we want. We got to go to our oppressor, right? I have the incomes, the average income in America of all the different races. And look at this. The average white man makes $71,000 a year. The black man makes $48,000 a year, the average. This is an average. And we know some people make more, but it's saying the average. This is their average income. It says, look, the blacks make $48,761 an average per year, their yearly income. The American Indian makes $48,174,095. So he makes almost $500 less than the Negro. Okay. The Asian averages $79,000 per year. Pacific Islanders are $52,000 per year. Two or more races, which are like your Persians, your Arabs, are about $52,000 per year. Hispanic or Latino, $42,000 a year. How is it that these three races, blacks, Native American, are at the bottom of the list in income? And that's just America. We haven't even talked to the third world countries yet. That's facts. That's statistics. So now when you want to look at domestic violence, look that up. Look at what race of people in America does that affect the most? Blacks, Native Americans, Hispanics. Now, watch this. Read on. Be evil toward the wife of his bosom. Go ahead.
And toward the remnant of his children, which he shall lead.
Also says that you have men that will be absent in the home. Look up single parent homes as I'm telling you, these are real statistics. Look up 2021, because 2022 isn't quite over, so they're not going to give you all the full stats. But look at 2021. Look at 2020, 2019. Look up single parent homes by nation, and you will see that Negroes, Hispanics, Native American Indians have the most single parent, where only one parent is in the house, than all other nations. Wow.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
So can we say it's just the Negroes that this is affecting?
No, not at all.
You can't. And according to the poverty, the Hispanics is lower than the Negro. They beat the Negro there.
Yeah, they do.
So that means they could come and say, well, wait a minute, hold on. We're poorer than you. Mm-hmm. So how does poverty see? When we look at the whole picture, we see these are just things you could go and actually look at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts.
Go ahead, bro.
No, I was just add to you, because you got a lot of people that two things they'll say, well, no, that's not true, because Mexicans, what they do, and I'm gonna give two perspectives of this. They'll say Mexicans, when they come, they stick together and they all pack up in one house and stuff like that. Y'all have no idea what's going on in them houses. The Mexican fathers is molesting the Mexican daughters. The mother is jealous of the Mexican daughters. This stuff is happening in their homes, and you don't even know that. You don't even know what's going on and I've had opportunities to talk to these Latino families. They ain't peaches and cream. They're going through a lot of stuff in these homes. You have no idea what these gang violence, the cartel, cutting people up and all of that, cutting them up, hanging them in Mexico on the freeways. You talk about gang violence in Cali, please. You talk about gang violence in Chicago, please. Go to Mexico and deal with them cartels. Them cartels is chopping up whole families, killing up whole families. It's a fact. But see, that what cultural what?
Cultural failure.
Cultural failure, black people. You only look at what your culture's going through, but you fail to really dig deep into the culture of your brothers to see what's going on. The Mexicans and the Guatemalans, they got beef on different islands. You understand? You don't even know what's going on in these. So when black people be ignorant, oh, you talking about the Mexicans, they be all packed up living together in one house. You don't even know the pain that's going on in them houses. You don't even know what's going on in the beef that's going on in them houses. Literally, this is facts. They going through these same curses. The mama hating the daughter because the daddy liked the daughter, touching and molesting the daughter. Cousins laying and messing the kid. That's all facts happening. I know because I grew up around Latinos and they talk and they going through the same shit. Excuse my language. I just got to be honest about this. So we got to stop the cultural failure. And just because you are not researching what's going on in their culture, like a lot of y'all don't even know a lot of these Native American reservations got crack put in their communities just like blacks did. A lot of y'all don't even know that because y'all not researching that.
Alcohol abuse.
Y'all don't even know on these Native American reservations, they got a whole bunch of alcohol abuse. And then them little casinos ain't even owned by the large majority of Native Americans. So y'all need to really do y'all research and see what's really going on and stop the cultural, say it again, failure. You understand? I had to get vulgar with them because they don't really understand what's going on with the 10 tribes. Yeah. You understand? And then also too, somebody asked about the beards and stuff like that. Look, brother, naturally I grow a full beard. My grandfather naturally doesn't grow a full beard. That doesn't mean you're not an Israelite because you don't grow a full beard. My dad doesn't grow a full beard. My uncle doesn't grow a full beard. I can show you pictures of my grandfather, my uncle, and my dad, and they don't grow full beards. The only thing they get is the goatee, and they don't even really fully connect, just like how I got. That doesn't mean that you're not an Israelite just because you don't grow a full beard. You understand? So I just want to pull that out. Okay. And go ahead, Elder. I'll let you get back to it.
Yeah, no, that I just want to get into one quick thing really quick. Because we could go on, for a while with the references, the curses. I think it's solidified because, like I said, you can't tell me, one of any of these curses that are brought up that does not pertain to the Hispanics and Native Americans that also pertain to the blacks. You can't. We brought out several, and like I said, we could go on and on. Bywords and proverbs, as if their name hasn't been taken from them. As it says, you shall worship other gods, wood and stone. Are they not worshiping statues? Are they not into Catholicism, rosaries? They do more out of worship than Negroes. So if you really want to get down to it, you can't get away from that. So those are the things that why the Most High gave us a lot of indicators. Don't look at does he have a beard? Let me see. Let me see his fingernails. That's stuff that, come on now. Like I said, you can't even look at every person of color. That just doesn't, remember, every nation had melanin. That wasn't a thing. The only one who made color a factor was the man who never had any, which is Esau, the so-called white man. Everybody, Africans, Persians, East Indians, everyone has melanin. That's nothing to them. That's not what identifies you as a people. But one thing, I brought it out a little earlier, is that, can you go back in your generations, in 5 generations, to see who your father is and things like that? We know our forefathers have been defeated. Rape existed. Foul play was there. Our forefathers, married women of other nations. So you're going to get all kind of different textures and different complexions and things like that. So, but one thing, and that's why the Most High is not tripping off of those things. He gave us an indicator. This is something that separates Israel from everybody else. The Most High gave you a portion of his spirit. That's what sets you apart. That's what holy means, to be set apart. So when people are thinking like, well, who's your father? You can't show me your father and go back to your tribe and all this other stuff. You can't do that. And if a man tells you he can, he's lying. Bottom line, you can assume and you can hope and you can be convicted strongly in your mind, but without facts and records. But one thing that the Most High is he gave us prophecy. Yep. And not only did he give us prophecy, he said that, and that's what he made the difference between Israel and the other nations, is that he put a portion of his spirit within us. And that spirit is going to identify you and wake you up to these laws, statutes, and commandments. That's when you're going to realize who the Israelites are. And it's not going to be about color. It's not going to be about which texture your hair, if it was braided or if it was shaved. That's not going to matter. What's going to matter is the spirit. Are you being pulled in to do what the Most High commanded Israel to do? because that's the whole duty of men. That's what the Most High had called. Let's get Exodus really quick, because that starts to happen and people start wanting to, oh yeah, who's daddy? Who's that? Look, we know our nationality is determined by our fathers, but one thing that the Most High made sure of the Israelites is that their fathers, the DNA that's passed from generation to generation, contains a portion of his spirit that the other nations do not have. And that's what triggers you to want to look into these biblical pages. Truth that wants you to step outside of the religious system and start looking at truth. It's that spirit that the Most High put, because the Most High is, remember, he's the author and finisher of our faith. So he knew what we would be going through. He says, I know 2022, they're not going to be able to trace their nationality, but guess what? I'm going to wake them up anyway. You know why? Because early on, when I made this covenant, I put my spirit in them. And his spirit is going to identify and wake them up. That's how brothers who were in bondage were able to wake, like Moses. Moses thought he was an Egyptian, right? But what woke him up to find out that he was a Hebrew? That spirit. Same thing that's waking you up. Exodus 29, verse 45. Let's read that.
Exodus chapter 29 and verse 45. So I do. And I will dwell among the children of Israel.
So the Most High said he would dwell among the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And will be their God.
And be their God. Read on.
And they shall know that and they shall know that I am the Lord their God that brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, that I may dwell among them. I am the Lord their God.
So he said he will dwell among us. Now, when you read in the scriptures, it tells you that the blood is the life of any living thing. Within our blood, you know, that's what gives us life. What fuels the spirit. And in that spirit is a presence of the Most High that allows us to be connected to him. That's why the nations can't keep these commandments. That's why the nations don't know the Most High. That's why he calls them spit and less than nothing. Isaiah chapter 59, verse 21.
Isaiah.
So in the midst of all of this history and all this archaeology and prophecies, now when you start to see Negroes awaken to their nationality, all praise to the Most High. But when you also see a Native American Indian or Hispanic waking up too and doing the same laws you're doing, you can't discriminate that man. The Most High is waking him up too. That means that the spirit is in him too. Way different than the ones calling themselves Jews that are not, like the Caucasians or other nations. The spirit's not in them. That's why they can't do it right to save their life. And they got to make up their own customs and their own traditions because they cannot do these. That's why they're there. That's why the Most High, this is the filter. The Bible is the filter of who the Israelites are. Now the Most High, for learning purposes, he gave you a geographical area to show you, but we know geography doesn't determine your nationality. He also explained certain things that Israelites will go through, where they would be. So now you look up who this pertains to these people. Now that you know who people are, now let's get individual. And that's only going to be dictated by the spirit that's in that man or that woman that the Most High placed in. Isaiah chapter 59. Let's read verse 21.
Isaiah chapter 59, verse 21.
Watch.
As for me, this is a covenant with them.
The Most High made a covenant with the Israelites. Read on.
Says the Lord, my spirit that is upon thee,
his spirit that is upon the Israelites, the children of Israel, and all their seed. Read on.
And my words which I have put in thy mouth,
and the words which is in us already. That's all we're doing is when we come back to this truth, our spirit is just getting a quickening, an awakening. And we start to identify the things that we already knew. There's nothing new under the sun. Go ahead.
Shall not depart out of thy mouth.
It shall not depart out of us. We're always connected to the Most High. Even when we go into our evil and wickedness, it gets suppressed, but it's still there. That's how you're able to come out. You didn't know what an Israelite was, but yet you got called. So obviously it ain't about color, right? It ain't about your fingernail length and the color clothes you wear. It's not about that. It's about that spirit that the Most High placed in you that's waking you up. But then you wonder, you can wake up, but why can't the brother next to you wake up? Maybe he ain't Israel.
Even the perpetrators can't.
And he looked like you too, but maybe he ain't you. You see what I'm saying? The Most High is doing the choosing. That's what we got to look at. So if the man's coming to do these laws, you better let him be. Because Christ said, if you offend any one of these little ones, He's going to bring punishment upon you because you holding on by faith too. You hoping that you're going to make it into that. And that's everybody, myself, this, everybody's hoping because we've got calls into this through the Spirit of the Most High. And the way we abide in it is based upon our performance and what we do in these scriptures. So knowing we Israel, even if the Most High gave us a birth certificate and all of that and said, you are officially Israel, the tribe of Issachar. Boom. And we had a certificate with a gold emblem and a seal, an Israelite seal on it by Yahweh Shai himself. But if we're not doing this, it don't matter. So his spirit that he put in us is not going to depart. It's going to allow you to wake up in 2022. It's going to allow you to wake up in 1995 or year 2010 or 20, whatever, 18, whatever you came in is true, or 2023, because we got a lot of more brothers and sisters that's going to wake up too. That spirit that he put in Israel is causing you to awaken. Other nations are sitting there looking. That's why they mad. That's why they get angry when you come to the scriptures and people are making references to the Bible because they don't have that spirit. You have it. And watch, I'm going to show you where Christ is going to say the same thing. Continue on. So his spirit that is in us will not depart out of thy mouth. Go ahead.
Nor out of the mouth of thy seed.
Or your children, read.
Nor out of the mouth of thy seed.
So when will it depart?
Never.
It won't. So that means through all captivities, you still have the ability through the Most High to awaken to your nationality without the verification of your ancestry, because you can't do it. That's the spirit of the Most High for you right there. That's why nations are in this earth. They can't fathom how you waking up and they can't get it. How we Israelites able to break down the scriptures and they can't do it. White man sitting there scratching his head. We've been studying this book for years. We print it up, we manufacture it, we publish it. But why don't we understand it like them? Because it's not in them. It's in us. Read on. It said, out of thy mouth, the mouth of thy seed, or the mouth of thy seed. Go ahead.
Says the Lord from henceforth and forever.
So the spirit of the Most High will dwell with his people forever. So that's how this is able to happen. Go to the book of Baruch, chapter 2 and verse 30 in the Apocrypha. Are we boring y'all? Are we good?
Nah, they locked in.
I know we kind of going. We kind of putting it
They locked
to the
in.
metal right now.
They
But we want to lay this one down so we can move on, because there's a lot of other stuff we got to talk about.
And we love our 10 tribe brothers, and
Man,
we want y'all,
for real.
Native Americans, Latinos, we're gonna be talking about y'all, including y'all. What you wanted, Baruch?
Baruch chapter 2 and verse 30. So if the Most High put a spirit in Israel, he made a covenant. He would dwell among us. And his spirit and the words that he put will not depart out of us or from us, our seed, or our seed from henceforth or forever. So it's in it. That's how you're able to know and understand the Most High now. And your parents may have not, because the Most High did not awaken them. He didn't awaken their spirit, but he woke in yours, because it's still in you. Read on.
You said
Baruch 2 verse 30.
Baruch chapter 2 verse 30. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people.
See, it's a stiff-necked people. Israel's hard-headed. We don't like to listen, but read on.
Because it is a stiff-necked people, but in the land of their captivity.
In the land of your captivity, what's going to happen?
They shall remember themselves.
They're going to remember themselves. How are you able to remember yourself without your ancestry? Because the Most High said he would put a spirit on you. He's going to put a spirit that's never going to depart from that means from the time that our forefathers was in Egypt, that spirit was placed on our people. And it carried on all through generation, all the way down to Moses, all the way down to King David, down to Solomon, down to King Hezekiah, all the way down to the 10 tribes, all the way to the time of Christ, all the way up through the dark ages, all the way through slavery, all the way till now. That spirit's still in the descendants of the children of Israel. And that's how you're able to wake up. So when you see these brothers and sisters waking up, you better close your mouth and respect the power of the Most High. Because easily as you awaken, you can be put back to sleep. That's why Christ said, and Paul broke it down very clearly in Romans chapter 11. He said, don't boast, because you had the Jews that was in Jerusalem mad because the other brothers was waking up. They wild. The Most High cast them off. Yep. He said, no, same thing. And Paul said, hey, you better watch out, because they're able to be grafted back into their tree again. And he said, you better watch out because you can also be cast off. So the scenario that we're talking about was always there. Read Romans 11th chapter, he breaks it down. But so it said, in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. Give me Hosea chapter 1. So that's what's happening now in America, and throughout the Caribbean, in Europe, brothers and sisters everywhere. They're waking up. I think I saw a comment where somebody said I'm in Europe or England or something.
Yep.
They're waking up. See, that goes to show you the scriptures. Now, show me where that's happening amongst the Egyptians. They don't have no book. They don't have the Spirit of the Lord. They're not a holy people. They was never set apart. That's why Deuteronomy 7:6 said, you are a holy people. You're chosen above all nations. You got the Spirit of the Lord in you. And I'm not talking about the thing that they talking about in Sunday church. This is a heredity. The Most High placed it in your forefathers, which was genetically passed down to you. And that's why you're able to understand what these scriptures are saying, while the other nations can't. And all our brothers got to do is look up and pay attention, and they'll be able to understand it too. Without the need, because someone's going to say, well, you can't prove it. You can't prove it. Yeah, you can. I prove it the same way Moses did. I prove it the same way our brothers that were scattered in the land in the regions of Corinth and in Alexandria, Egypt, and in Pontus and all these other places where they were able to wake up and still understand that they were Israelites without having an ability to trace their nationality. Because the Most High said he will place his spirit. And guess what? You can't fake it that way, because you got some fake ones, and the Most High already revealed them, and they cannot do what you can do. You got a ton of them running around calling themselves Jews. Christ said, I know who they are, but they're liars. They're blasphemy. They're blasphemous. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Are we able to spot them out?
Yep.
They can't. You can't fool this system. And guess what? And the Israelites that come in and they come and start to keep the commandments, you can't do that unless you've been called by the Most High. You can't. That's why I don't care. That's why the church system, it's not designed on that spirit of the Most High. It's designed on a man-made philosophy. That's why you would never get to the Most High through those means. The only way you can get to the Most High is through the spirit that was within him, and by awakening to this knowledge and coming in and obeying it. Read that Hosea chapter 1 and verse 10.
Hosea chapter 1 verse 10. And now will I discover her lewdness in the sight of
Hosea
her.
1 and 10.
Hosea 1 and I'm sorry, I'm in 2. Salakia. Hosea chapter 1 verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea.
You can't number the children of Israel. So many of us. So many Negroes, Hispanics, Native American Indians, some millions of us. Sand of the sea. Read on.
Which cannot be numbered.
Uh-huh.
Which cannot be measured nor numbered.
Can't measure it, nor can you count it. Read on.
And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them.
Now listen to this. In the place where it was said unto these Israelites, what?
Ye are not my people.
You're not my people. Because when we were first brought here, were we taught that we were the Israelites? No. We were told we was niggas, Mexicans, Indians, savages, wild, Tano, untamed, spick. 4/5 of a human being, whatever else measurement and fraction they want to put on us. We were never told we were the chosen children of the Lord. We was told we were inferior. We're the devil. We're demons. We're told everything but everything to ruin our self-esteem and ruin our self-respect and dignity of ourselves. Mm-hmm. But what also will happen in that same place where we was told we was nothing, what will happen? Continue on.
Ye are not my people. There it shall be
there
said,
in that land, that Arsareth, that spiritual Sodom and Egypt and Babylon, known as America, and other neighboring countries that's dispersed where our people are. Read, what will happen to them?
There it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God.
You are the descendants of those that the Most High put his spirit in, and he is the living God. So we have confirmation. It says, in the land of their captivity, they shall remember themselves. Who's waking up in captivity?
Blacks and Hispanics.
Man, is that not probably, where are you at waking up watching this video right now?
Land of your captives.
Why other people in the clubs and all that, you keeping the Sabbath. You at the house keeping the commandments of the Most High. Do y'all see what's going on? In the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. Who did you just wake up and go, I'm Israel? No, because the word that was taught, you heard it, and it peeped something in your spirit, and you wanted to listen. And guess what? I guarantee you had a family member or a friend say, "Hey man, let's go." No, I'm listening. Let's go. Meet me car. I go to the car. I guarantee you got a story like that. Yep. Or you heard it and you took it home and said, "Man, I heard some marvelous stuff today." And then somebody said, "Hey, whatever." But guess what? You wanted to learn more, and you start to seek out. Because it was once said to you in this place that you are not the children of the Lord. And guess what? You woke up in that same place. Now you know you're the children of God. In that same place. Crazy, right? Let's read John chapter 15. I got a couple of more.
Yep, no, you good, huh?
John chapter 15. So this is how people are waking up.
You got the loyal subscribers on here. They with you. They with you. They enjoying class.
Good.
John 15.
Hold on a second. Let me read John 15 and let's read verse 15.
John chapter 15, verse 15. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord does. But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you.
Right, go ahead.
Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you.
So Christ is saying, you haven't chosen me, but I've chosen you. That's why you're able to wake up. You didn't just say, I'm going to be Israel today. No, something sparked your curiosity. You heard something. It resonated in your spirit, and you sought out more. That was a calling. Said he called you. Go ahead.
That ye should go and bring forth fruit,
and
that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it.
That's it. That's how the Most High is allowing you to come back. He said he's chosen, he's called us into this. Okay. Go to Romans, the book of Romans. Romans chapter 2 and verse 14. Romans 2. And watch Paul address this issue.
Romans 2 and Romans chapter 2, verse 14.
Watch this.
For when the Gentiles which have not the law.
Now notice this. It says when the Gentiles, now it's not talking about the heathen Gentiles. It's talking about the Israelites that don't know that they're Israelites. The Gentile Israelites, brothers and sisters that are calling themselves African American, Hispanic, Native American, Indian, whatever else. Okay, that's that Gentile mind. But yet you're Israelite. Read on. It says, but yet when the Gentiles, go ahead.
For when the Gentiles which have not the law do by nature the things contained in the law.
So when you not having the law at one point, right? You were out in gangs doing who knows what, violating every commandment of the Most High. But when you start to, when it says by nature, meaning now you start to naturally adhere to what the Bible is saying. What's going on here now? Read.
Contained in the law, these having not the law.
At one point you didn't have the law. But what happened, Read?
Are a law unto themselves.
Why are you a law unto yourself? Because the law was written in you. Watch this, Read.
Which show the work of the law written in their hearts.
Now we read, who did the Most High write the law and put his spirit in?
Israel.
Only Israel. So that's why when you were a Gentile, calling yourself a Hispanic or a Native American Indian or Egyptologist or Kemet, whatever you thought you were or whatever you believed you were at one point, you were a Gentile at mind. And guess what? When you started to hear and you awakened, you started to adhere to some of these commandments. And you started to naturally do them because it's already in you to do. And your spirit started to pour out. And you started to obey and listen more and more to what the Bible was saying. And it says, this is a demonstration of the law that is written in their hearts. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Which show the works of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness.
Because your conscience, your mind is able to bear witness to that, because now You're fulfilling what was written, that the Spirit of the Most High will not depart. Go ahead.
And their thoughts, the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another.
Absolutely. Flip over to chapter 8. Romans chapter 8. So this is the awakening. This is how Israel, even though we know the Most High said, yeah, you'll be scattered to the north country, these different places and what have you, but his spirit that's within us is going to last for eternity. It's going to be in us forever, from generation to generation. That's how you're able to wake up today,
16.
not knowing. Romans
16.
chapter 8, and I want to read verse 9.
9, okay.
Yeah.
But Romans chapter 8, verse 9, but ye are not in the flesh, but in the spirit.
See, meaning because Israel is a spiritual people. That's why he's laying it down. Paul is telling us, get back to who you normally are. In the land of their captivity, they shall remember themselves. Captivity is the flesh. Freedom is of the Most High. That's why the whole understanding of Egypt, why the Most High has us remember that during Passovers. Remember when you were enslaved in Egypt so you can learn to break free, because the biggest captive part of us is our mind. Our enemy always works double time to keep us mentally enslaved. Break those chains, and that's how we become free. But the only way to become free is to do what? How do we break those chains? By the keeping of the commandments. Know the truth. The truth shall make you free. Go ahead.
But ye are not in the flesh, but in the spirit.
Read on.
If so be that the Spirit of God dwell in you.
See that? If so be that the Spirit of God dwell in you. Now, could that be talking about anybody? No, we read perfectly clear who the Spirit of the Lord dwells in. He said, my spirit will not depart from the children of Israel. See, everybody can't claim that. That's why I said you are not in the flesh, but in the spirit, if the Spirit of God dwelleth in you. And now you're awakening, because we're spiritual people. We're just in the carnal flesh because we're hard-headed and we don't listen, and we've been seduced. But now that we're breaking free and remembering ourselves, we're taking off that flesh and becoming more spiritual. Now the Most High can talk to us. Now we can awaken and start growing in spirit now, and recognizing who our Heavenly Father is. Go ahead.
Spirit of God dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the Spirit of Christ.
Now listen to this. If any man have not the Spirit of Christ, meaning if that spirit, now don't get this mistaken thinking that this is talking about, oh, well, you don't have this Christ-like and humble. We know that those are attributes, but remember, those are attributes of the law. That's the attribute of the Most High that placed his spirit in us. But he says, if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, because Christ had the Spirit of God in him. Israel is supposed to have the Spirit of the Most High in them. And if you don't have that, go ahead.
He is none of his.
Now, what other nation has a Spirit of the Most High besides Israel? So is the white man, is he any of the Most High? Most High said he is none of his. Most High said, ain't none of mine. The other nations that they don't have the Spirit of the Most High, so he said they're none of mine.
None of mine.
And it makes sense, because when you go back to Genesis, remember when the Most High told Abraham to sacrifice Isaac? And when Abraham said, Lord, I'll do it, whatever you need me to do. And he was about to do it, and the angel said, no, don't do that. Now I know you fear the Most High. And he said, because you did not withhold your son, your only son, Isaac. Did y'all catch how he said your only son, Isaac? But wait a minute. I thought Ishmael was his firstborn.
And all the other ones, yeah.
But why did he say your only son, Isaac? Because Ishmael was none of his.
Yeah.
Ishmael's none of his. Esau's none of his. Moab is none of his. Ammon, none of his. The Medes, none of his. The Persians, Elam, none of his. Japheth, all the nations, none of his. But the Spirit is in you, though. That's how you're able to wake up in your captivity. That's how you're able to identify what's going on. And you're able to and as I said, your heart-bearing conscience and able to see the curses that you're going through and what your people are experiencing. That's the awakening. That's how you're called into this. If it was that easy, everybody in the world would be an Israelite, right? Mm-hmm. But obviously, how many people do you see really gutting it out, doing what the Most High required? And then I want you to tell me what nationality they are. Mm-hmm. What are you going to see?
Black and Hispanics.
Blacks, Hispanics, Native American. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Show me the white man that's doing that. But that's how the Most High is identifying. See, so technically, yeah, we know our forefathers Israel. Remember, the DNA of our forefathers that the Most High placed his spirit in is in the children of Israel today. And that's how they're able to awaken. See, that's people don't understand. Like, how are we able to make it and you can't prove? And see, that's what scoffers going to come and say, you can't prove it. Go to 1 Ezra chapter 3, verse 36.
That's the dagger.
Because see, this is how it leads up to this one. The Most High said in the land of their captivity, they're going to remember themselves. So then that means that anybody can just start claiming Israel. No, there's a criteria of what you have to do. We went over the physical criteria of what was going to happen with bondage. Now the Most High is showing you through your spirit, because we all got a different story. Some of us don't even know our fathers. You might have been adopted. You might have been, look, we've seen the situation our people been in. How many of our children are in this whole legal system?
Yep.
Because their parents were on drugs or they lost their parents at a young age and they had to grow up in the system. They don't know who their parents are, but guess what? You don't think that spirit of the Most High is still in them?
Yep.
And they can wake up? That's how the Most High said, what I say is going forth. There's nothing you can do to stop it. See, Esau thought he was slick by hiding our records. Let's destroy all that. Destroy the book, destroy the land, destroy the archaeology. The Most High laughing at him. Destroy all that. I put something you can't touch. I put my spirit in them and watch them wake up anyway.
Ooh.
Watch them wake up.
Can't stop it. And
Can't stop
them trying to stop it made it spread.
You see it? Because what the Most High say, I will take the wise and their own craftiness.
Man.
They're trying to be smart, trying to figure out who the Israelites are. They told it. They told the story for us. But they also did a number on us because they hide it in the books that our people don't want to read. Going back to the old proverb, when I hide something from a nigga, put it in the book. And our Hispanic brothers and Native Americans, they don't read too much either. They fall right into that too. See, it always, wherever we want to identify with a Negro, I guarantee you it falls right back on the rest of our brothers and sisters all at the same time. But read that, 2 Ezra 2.
2 Ezra chapter
I'm sorry,
3
3 and 36.
2 Ezra chapter 3, verse 36. Thou shalt find that Israel by name.
See, Israel by name, because our name, Yasha'Allah, Prince of Power. Go ahead.
Has kept thy precepts.
We're the nation that keeps these laws according to the spirit that the Most High placed in us. Go ahead.
But not the heathen.
Not the heathen. Not the heathen. So the question would be, can the heathen keep this?
Absolutely not. So how the 10 tribe coming in?
Right, exactly. So how are these Hispanics waking up now?
I got some Mexican brothers waking up.
Man.
Keeping laws.
Tons of them. We had Hispanic brothers, Native American waking up in the 90s when I first came into, and it's even more so now. So how are you gonna say they're not Israel? When he said Israel by name have kept thy precepts, not the heathen. So that's why my point going back to the fact is, if you see the brother coming into this knowledge, you better shut up and let him serve the Most High. You don't know his story, just as well as we don't know yours. Yeah. But see, you can't get around this. You can't fake this. Christ made it clear. He said, you ain't going to fake this, because guess what? You're going to have to catch hell to stay in this truth. And if you're not buckled down and you're not really authentic, you will not do it. How many people you know just going to willingly want to just give up all the things and people they hung out with to serve the Lord?
Only the chosen.
You gotta be serious in order to hold on to that. See, that's why the fake Jews, they can't do it, so they had to create other stuff to suit them. But it ain't in the scripture, so it don't count. You can't be fraudulent and try to make up fraudulent laws and customs that appease to you. Lord said, I didn't keep that.
Right. Like
you see what I'm saying?
Like bread in the hummus and taking the chicken head, spinning it around.
Man.
The not the 7 stick, the 9 stick.
Bro.
They can't do nothing right.
And then they come up with things like this. Well, we really don't have to fast for Day of Atonement. And then our brothers follow that same garbage. You don't have to keep no laws. That's another thing we really got to go into, because a lot of our people fall victim to that too. You don't have to keep no laws.
That might got to be the next.
The Gentiles, see God accepting them too. Man, I'm telling you, if you think that the Most High, why would the Most High separate Israel, scratch the Gentiles out, make a covenant with Israel, disregard Ishmael, disregard Esau, and these were the sons of righteous men. Disregard them only to give it to him. Let's get real. Went through all the separation only to bring it. Come on. The Most High said, I never dealt with them. He said, I created them for you to serve you, and that's it. That's as far as it goes. He said, they're none of mine. He said, as for me, the children of Israel are servants. And that's out of the mouth of the Most High. He never claimed no other nation. But because of our people want to hold on, and they have some heathen friends somewhere in the mix. They got a soft spot for them. That's all it is. There's nothing wrong. David had Hiram. Hiram was a heathen, but he said, Hiram, thanks for helping me, giving me the wood to build my house, and my son to build the temple of the Lord. But that's as far as it goes. But Israel by name has kept thy precepts, not the heathen. There's no way you're going to fake yourself into this. You can claim Israel, say whatever you want, but when the microscope is on, when it says, okay, let's start performing. Watch, they're going to crack every time. Every time, or make an excuse. When the Caucasians claiming to be Jews, okay, well, you're gonna do this with us. Let's see. Well, hold on. Wait a minute. See, my understanding is no, we're not going on your understanding. You're going on the Jews' understanding and the real Israelites' understanding, which is according to this. So you fasting on Day of Atonement, you ceasing all activity. You got to shut this down. You got to make sure you do these things. Watch them buckle. Watch. Take away these images you hiding in there. You got to get rid of all that. Get rid of all the dietary stuff that's unlawful. You're gonna start. Then people gonna start. They're gonna start trying to figure. I got to get out of here. Or they're gonna start making excuses and allowances to try to allow it to stay in. See, that's how the game is played, man. And you can't fool the Most High. He's got one more. Let's go to John. I know we kept the people pretty long.
They on there.
Man.
They be up. John,
I want hold on real quick.
So you 10 tribe brothers, you Latinos and Native Americans, y'all stand bold in the face of your brothers that had that hatred in their heart, because they always had that, even during the time of the apostles, and they always had that hatred in their heart for the brothers that was waking up the northern kingdom. So you stand bold and you keep these commandments, because the scriptures just told you that only Israel can do this thing. Stand up, my Mexican, my Guatemalan, my Puerto Ricans, my Cubans, all my Latin brothers and sisters, my natives. Stand up, keep these commandments. Let's get together and let's get the kingdom. Don't let nobody deter you from keeping these commandments, because only Israel can keep it.
That's right.
Period.
Watch this. Let's John 14 and verse 15.
John chapter 14 and 15.
Christ is going to go over everything, but he's going to go and explain it more in detail of what Ezra said. Israel by name hath kept thy precepts, but not the heathen. Watch how Christ explains it beautifully. Watch, read on.
If ye love me, keep my commandments.
So Christ is saying, if you love me, you're going to keep the commandments, because the commandments were given by the Most High. Christ was an advocate for the commandments. All the righteous men and women in the scriptures were advocates for the commandments. And if we're going to be in that light and consider ourselves Israelites, we have to be advocates for the commandment as well. It's in us to do. It's not in the other nations to do. Okay, read on.
And I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter.
So the Father will give you another comforter. Go ahead.
That he may abide with you forever.
Similar to what he gave us before. Watch this. He's going to tell you exactly what it is. Read.
Even the Spirit of truth.
The Spirit of truth. That's what the Most High is placing in us. That's why we're searching for truth. Why you have that void and you're trying to figure it out. That spirit that the Most High put in us from long ago, that's been passed down from generation to generation, is triggering now, and it's causing you to awaken and start to inquire about who you are and who the God that you want to worship. Learn more about him. But it says, even the spirit of truth, watch this, read.
Whom the world cannot receive.
See, the whole world can't receive it. So they lied to you in church again, telling you everybody can get the spirit. It says, whom the world cannot receive. But who can receive the spirit of truth? Read.
It says, because it seeth him not.
Remember, what did he say? If you have not the spirit of Christ, you're none of his. They can't see him. Read on.
Neither knoweth him.
And they don't know him. Go ahead.
But ye know him.
How do you know him? So who is Christ talking to? Israelites, Jews. But you know him. Why?
For he dwelleth with you.
Who did the Most High say his spirit will dwell with from generation to generation? Israel. See, Christ said, if you love me, keep the commandments. And you get another comforter, which is the spirit of truth, who the world can't receive because they don't know the Most High. And he don't know them. But you know him because he dwell with you like he promised he would from generation to generation. That's why you're able to wake up in the land of your captivity and remember yourself. But you know him because he dwell with you. Read on.
And shall be in you.
And shall be in you. Read.
I will not leave you comfortless.
That spirit will never go away. Didn't he say, I will dwell with them forever? Yeah. From his seed, and his seed. From generation, from henceforth and forever. I will not leave you comfortless. Go ahead.
I will come to you.
See? So now you understand how Christ is able to talk to you now. See that? See, it's not like you went in the vending machine and pulled out some special thing. Your spirit that was in you just awakened. That was it. You was on your way to work or on your way to the mall or something, and you heard some brothers teaching, or you got a piece of literature, or you was looking on some video and you're going to see what these brothers talking about. And you heard something and something just, a joke went into you. You kept watching, you said, I got to see some more. Let me see some more. They're asking questions. Then you start finding, I got to go see these people in person. I want to go talk to these brothers. You find out where they are locally, and you meet up with them, and you sit down and you get in class. The next thing you know, you're wearing fringes. Next thing you know, all the things that you were doing before, you start to wean from that, and you're doing better. You're doing what the scriptures say. That's the comforter that the Most High said he was going to give to you. That's the comfort, but it's no different than what the Most High said he would do back in Exodus. Said, I will dwell among the children of Israel and be among them, and I shall be a God unto them. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, they are nothing.
They are nothing.
He said, they don't have the spirit, they are none of his. So how are you going to bring the Gentiles in this when he says, which the world cannot receive? You see what I'm saying? So when people want to talk about Gentile, Agrippa, and all, we got to talk about that Agrippa.
Yeah, we got to do it.
And I talk about it in the book.
Yeah.
I cover it in the whole Gentile thing in the book. I cover it completely. You can't, I leave no stone unturned dealing with the Gentiles. There's no way.
We might have to go through that one.
But yeah,
Agrippa. And Agrippa said, and now I'm convinced. When I heard Agrippa's words, I'm convinced that the heathen is the Gentiles is coming in.
Man, the Most High will not have another nation replace you. And if you think so, you don't deserve to be Israelite.
That's a fact.
That's just how it is. If you think the Most High, why would the Most High need anyone to replace his people that he chose? You mean to tell me someone that's nothing? I mean, that's an insult to yourself. The Most High labeled you above all nations. Now you telling me that you're going to let a people that's beneath you be and bring them over you? The hell is going on? Imagine your son came home and said, Daddy, I know you told me the inheritance is mine. I'm going to rule everything. But my little white friend, Johnny, I think you should come in too and give him a piece of this. I know you said it's for me and for my family, but he got to come in too, or I don't want nothing.
If he can't have it, no one can have it.
Or I don't even want it.
I don't even want it. Yeah,
man, our people are insane sometimes the way they think, man. But that goes back to that cultural, what you call it? Cultural failure. I forgot what it was.
Cultural what?
Cultural failure.
Failure. Yeah, cultural failure.
And getting so caught up because what happens is that people catch flack for speaking about the truth about their own. When you say who you are and you're proud of that, then when people think it's racism that way. You see what I'm saying? That don't make sense, man. What nation of people wasn't proud of who they were?
Right.
You know, but the Most High said, you are above all nations. He said, Christ said, I will send you the comforter which the world cannot receive, even the spirit of truth. I will not leave you comfortless, man. That's reassurance for you right there. Yahweh Shai said, don't trip. I got you. But Christ, how are we going to know in 2022 when all the records have been destroyed and we don't know who we are? I don't even know who my daddy is. I don't even know who this is. I don't know. I'm confused. They're telling me I'm not real. You know what Christ's going to say? He's going to slap you. Smack. Shut up.
Wow.
Did you come? Did you awaken? Are you coming into this knowledge now? Are you fitting the criteria that we went over this evening? Do you fit that? Yeah. Are you coming to these commandments? Yeah. Do you have a desire to want to serve the Lord? Yeah. But not just a desire that any Christian or anybody can have, but according to the way the Lord said, do it. I do. Then say no more. Keep moving. That's Israel for you. Because Christ did he hit you with this? He's gonna say, because look, son, if you wasn't an Israelite, there would be no way you could do it. Because Israel by name has kept thy precepts, not the heathen.
That's the comforter. Wow.
Don't make you feel good.
That's deep.
Don't it make you feel good?
Wow. It ain't that jibber jabber Holy Spirit. It's the comfort of knowing I'm an Israelite based off these criteria. Even
Based
though I don't
off
have my
truth,
father's
facts,
prophecy, even though I don't know who my fathers are, even though I've been scattered, even though I've been mingled, I'm comfort. Because he would never leave me comfortless.
Right.
And I'm comforted by knowing I am an Israelite. That's the comforter.
Right. And see, a lot of people don't know what the Holy Spirit is.
Crazy.
We know the Holy Spirit has many attributes, but what Christ is in, what Paul explains, he's showing you. That's why he says, now we can even understand it this better. Let's go to Romans real quick, chapter 8.
Man, that's the comforter for Israel.
Romans 8 and 16. Now, this should be even clearer to understand now.
Romans 8 and 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit.
So when it says the Spirit, what Spirit is it talking about?
The Holy Spirit.
The Holy Spirit, which the Lord put in who?
In us.
In Israel. Who else did he put it in?
Nobody.
No other nation, which the world cannot receive. He made it clear. This is Christ, New Testament. The world cannot receive it because it knoweth him not. And there's nothing they can do to get it. They can go into church. They can go into a synagogue. They can go into the Christian church. They can walk around the cobblestone 1,000,000 times. They will never get it because it was never put in them. That's what a covenant is. If they can get it, they make the Most High a liar because he said, I will not give my glory unto another.
Wow.
See, that's the problem when people try to just bring them in, just sneak them in the back a little bit. No, that's why the Most High said clearly in Isaiah 11, said, he that is joined unto them will fall by the sword. You want to join into him, go over there and be with him. But you're going to get the same thing he gets too in judgment. But he said, the Spirit itself, meaning the Spirit that the Most High put in, it's that Spirit of truth. The Spirit that's in our forefathers, that's passed down from generation to generation, that reached us today, beareth witness with our spirit now. That what?
That we are the children of God.
Now, it's not saying, Paul's not saying any man can wake up and say, oh, I feel the Spirit. I'm the child of God. No, the Spirit. That's why it's a big capital S there, because it's letting you know a specific thing that's going on. The Spirit of truth. The Spirit of truth comes with what? All the components we were talking about tonight. The prophecies, the history, the archaeology. We got a summary, but at the end of the day, the Spirit that was put in Israel that will cause them to awaken in their captivity and then cause them to seek the Most High in truth and in spirit awakens them. And now they're performing the commandments that only the Israelites can do. You can't cheat this system. You can't lie your way into Israel. You cannot do it. You see what I'm saying? That makes you question people that have come and went. You see what I'm saying? That's why it says, he that endureth to the end shall what?
Be saved.
Because that's the only way you're going to be true, determined, and proven if you're really who you are. See, the Most High not taking the nationality no more, because when we knew our nationality and knew our tribe, we still was in transgression. So what good did it really do us? The only thing when all the Most High saying, you know what, you're gonna follow this law whether you like it or not, and the only ones that's gonna do it are the ones that's serious and committed. That's gonna be the true children of the Lord. Period. So that spirit awakens us to be able to call ourselves the children of the Most High.
I gotta get Romans 7:14 for you.
Sure, read that.
Romans chapter 7:14. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. So only Israel can keep the law, which is spiritual, which is that spirit.
That's right.
Which is that comfort.
That's right. That's right. You know,
beautiful.
You know, man, we went in. So
yeah, that was beautiful, man.
I hope the people enjoyed, and yeah, we gotta you know bring some other stuff out. But yeah, the Gentiles, man, our people, you know, our brothers and sisters, man, from Negroes to Native American Indians to you know, Hispanic brothers and sisters, you know, we're the children of Israel. We're the children of Israel, and you can go back, do your research, and if you're gonna argue it, then bring some facts with you. Don't come with your opinion. Don't come with emotion. Bring some facts. Bring some records and bring some information just proving what was said today. But there's a lot more. You know what I mean? We had to cut it short. There's tons of information. You know, again, you know, check the book because there's plenty of topics in there that go over this. You go over who Esau, proving without a shadow of a doubt who Esau is. We talk the calendar. That's another thing we got to deal with.
We got to tackle everything that's in the book.
It's so much.
We're gonna tackle everything that was in the book. We're gonna tackle it.
So that way you can, you know, the key, like I said before in the first meeting we had, was that the book is just for a comforting. It's just to shed some light, to give Israel some tools to really start provoking thought without just speaking in just anything. They're actually able to, okay, if I disagree with something, then let me come with proper facts and understanding to the table, and let's put it under light and let's analyze it. You know what I'm saying? That's how it should be done. That's how the apostles did it. That's how the prophets and the kings of old did it. So they would reason. The scriptures tell us that. Bring forth your strong reason. It doesn't say bring forth your excuse or your opinion. It says bring forth your strong reason. That means a strong reason is, why are you believing this and what is the strength behind it? If you're just coming, well, I just feel, then that's not a valid excuse. Anybody can say that. That's an opinion. But when you have facts and you have understanding to back it up, and you have information that can refute certain things, then okay, let's deal with it. But out of all things, the Bible has to reign supreme in all of that. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, the calendar, because that's a question. Why people keeping feast days on different days? And you know, should you really should you have to fast? Should you need a lamb for the Passover? I mean, our people, they want to serve the Most High, but they're also caught up in tradition too. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of people try to infuse the church into the scriptures as well. You can't mix this. This word is you can't dilute the word. It has to be what it is. It says what it says. It means what it means. So just like when the Most High said, I will put you in the bond, I will punish you for all your sins. That's the Most High, raw and uncut. But we want to find another way to make it softer. Most High says the nation, all the people that come from Adam are nothing. They're less than nothing to me. How are we going to value them when the Most High don't put no value on them?
Facts.
But because your heart, you got a soft spot for a heathen or another nation, now you want to change the opinion of the Most High, the mind of the Most High. It don't work that way. He said, if I don't like him, who are you to tell me who I'm like? Well, then we try to reason. Well, why the Lord? Why he make them then? Why he? You got a whole lot of stuff in your house that you don't use. I guarantee you bought some clothes you ain't even worn yet. You probably threw them out when you wanted to. Who's gonna tell you? Well, damn, you throwing away a good pair of shoes. Yeah, I don't need these. We do it all the time. Like somebody gonna come up, you wrong. Why you throwing away them good old shoes? You ain't even wear them. I bought them. They're mine. I do what I want to do. So how are we going, if they're the creatures of the Most High, how are we going to debate and tell him who he can't value and what he can't do? Right. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just, you know, peace to everyone that, you know, listening. And I know we went on, but, you know, continue, stay in the scriptures, and, you know, all praises to the Most High.
Man, all praise. Let me get a hand clap to the elder, man.
Man, that's all praises to the Most High, man. You know, I appreciate it, man. It's always a pleasure coming to build with you. You know, again, man, you know, I really enjoy, you know, what you're doing, and you're doing good things, and you know, the Most High is working with you, man.
All praises.
Don't let the haters, you know, they out there.
Oh yeah, and for all the haters, let me go ahead and let me go ahead and put this real quick
For
up.
those that said you could not do it,
For those that said I could not do it,
I want
and
you to laugh at them.
and for
You
those
know
that
who you are too.
yeah, and those that said we couldn't do it, and those that say I don't have an elder, I want to key in on this comment. He said, "Elder, your way of teaching is so clear and understandable. I see where Ratazan gets it from. Yes, I have an elder. I'm not just some young cat that binge watched a whole bunch of videos and jumped on there. I got extensive training from my elders in the spirit of the Most High. So, he's been rocking with us. All praises for that. And I've seen somebody said, where can I attend and learn the truth? I'm in LA. Perfect. Do me a favor. If you email us, we put live. Can you put the address in the chat? I think it's Anonymous Professor. You can email us at believersoftheway144k@gmail.com. But if you want to just come directly to the school, we have class every Saturday at 4:30. Every Saturday at 4:30 in Los Angeles, California. We have class. If you're online, you can tune in 4:30 our time. You got it live? Okay. Or you want me to put it? All right. Um, let me make sure live get it real quick. Uh, uh, you want me to do it live? You got it? Let me just put it up real quick. You put it in? All right, calm. Maybe it's going a little. It's going. And somebody also asked, can we get the link to the Elders book? I think Lob, then you put it. Lob put that in there too, huh? I don't know why it's taking a long time to show up on the screen. Let me see. Let me just go ahead and I need to really Oh, you did. All right, so here's the address real quick. If you're in LA area, why it's taking a minute for me to see your message live, but put it real quick. I don't see it. Maybe it's taking a minute. I don't know. Address for the brother right now.
No, I'm just saying, it's a good thing, man. Brother then came a long way. Like I said, no, the first ones, man. I remember this brother's was a pup, man, in his knowledge. But that goes that spirit, man, and
yeah,
he's taking on his ability to take what he learned and through the spirit of the Most High and Christ, able to go ahead and create a good movement, a good a good congregation, a good tool to help promote and get this truth out. And that was one thing that I always taught brothers is to take the information and be able to go anywhere and put the work in and yield results.
Yeah,
For sure. And obviously, brothers doing that
for sure.
And growing at a rapid rate. So, like I said, my thing to, you always gonna have, people with their little sitting in the corners with their little things to say. Don't worry about that, bro. Don't worry about that. When you don't have that, that's when you're doing something wrong. Keep moving and keep doing what you're doing and grow. I mean, shoot, what you done grew out of 2 schools in like what, a year, 2 years?
Yeah, we only been BOW has been a camp for 2 years. We only BOW in terms of a camp is only 2 years old.
Right. And growing at record numbers.
Yeah, and
that's beautiful.
All praises, man.
All praises to the Most High, man. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of Iram. I know Iram is
shout out Iram.
Watching,
he just had the baby.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Iram just had the baby. So
congratulations, my brother. But him too, man. The brothers is went in and handled business, and that's how you're supposed to do it. That's how you do it. You grow and just keep moving, man. Don't let no, negative. Got the people that are envious and hateful and want to see you fail.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And if a person even has that in their mind, that's definitely not the spirit of the Most High. Because if they want you to fail, that means they want the truth to fail.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? And that's where you got to look at how people's real minds really are. Is that's just hatred. That's envy. That's the spirit of Saul.
Yeah.
They want you to fail because they're not doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? And the more you succeed, the more they fail. It makes it look it's just their own insecurities.
Because
but
they're not sincere in wanting to do that work.
And that's what it is. But unfortunately, it exists among our nation. So, but keep it moving, brother. Keep moving forward, spin ahead, because the more time you spend on that, man, another soul is at risk.
Exactly.
Facts.
And then I wanna give a shout out to Ishire, brother Ishire and brother Lob for moderating. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna make y'all brothers official moderators so y'all can kick people out and do what y'all got to do. But I want to say I thank you brothers for moderating, and especially Ishire too, because where Ishire is at, it's 2 a.m. right now, and the brother been rocking with us since 2 a.m. I love that brother.
Brother, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean
that brother's a soldier, and he taught our out of state brothers.
Oh, okay.
He taught our out of state brothers a class, and then got on to moderate 2 a.m. Brother he diligent. That's a good soldier right there. He's in Tennessee. So if y'all brothers is in that area, please email us at believersoftheway144k@gmail.com, because we are trying to start other camps in other areas, and we got some good prospects. We got a brother in Chicago that's prospecting with us. We got some brothers, brother JP out in Dallas. The brothers in Dallas, man, we love you brothers. And we trying to build up out there too. So we got brothers all over, brothers all over that we trying to build with and spread this gospel to. Brother Hosea in Dallas as well, brother JP and brother Hosea in Dallas. We got some brothers up north in Sacramento, trying to build up a young Jacob there. We kind of scattered all around. We got sisters in different places too. We trying to get y'all. We trying to get to y'all. We trying to build. A lot of y'all coming fast, but we trying to get it in. So we love y'all. The address for the brother that did ask, that's in LA. The address is right here. 802 North Avalon Boulevard, Wilmington, California, 90744. Also, too, you guys can get the book. Amazon, I guess.
You know what? Get the link that's posted in there. Because
Lob, you said you posted it.
Yeah, Amazon is
I did not see you posted. Let me see. Yeah, post it again. I don't know why I'm not seeing your comments.
Amazon is playing games. They and again, I apologize to brothers and sisters that try to order it and they keep pushing people's delivery dates out. Should have been in November, but then some people are saying they're getting it pushed out to like late December, and so
yeah, Lob, it's not coming.
They're trying to do everything they can to prevent
the growth of the book.
I mean, it's controversial to those that don't believe it. It's good for the Israelites, but people that are, especially with this anti-Semitism thing going in, it's gonna break my heart. Unfortunately, was what it is. Truth is truth. So our people want to
yes. Real quick before I end class, I want to Shire, if you could tell Shire, if you could post a link in the chat, because for some reason I don't know why we can't see Lob's comments, but we'll figure that out. But Shire, if you could post the link that Lob sent to you in the chat real quick, I want to make sure we do that. And also too, yes, sister, I don't know how far you are from Dallas, but we have some brothers that we building with in Dallas, brother JP and brother Hosea. The brothers are good brothers. So here it is right here. So yeah, Ashire put it in the chat. It's right here. So the believers of the way.
Are you able to put it in the description?
Yeah, you know what? I'm a pin it. Boom. I could do both. I pinned it right now, and then when I upload the video, I'll pin it in the comments, so then people will see it. So yeah, it's right here. I just pinned it. This is the this is where you can buy the book because Amazon is going through what Amazon's going through. We're trying to censor the word. So please, this is the link. I'm also, when I upload the video, I'm going to pin it in the comments. So it'll be the very first comment that you see. You'll be able to see it and you can click on it and you can get the book. And I'll make sure to put a description that this is where you can get the book from the elder and everything. So we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Again, we'll be here at 4:30 tomorrow. So please, online, if you tune in with us, and we'll also have a physical class to anybody that's in LA. You can come and check us out. Again, this is the address if you're in LA. Check us out. Love y'all. And with that, we're going to sign off until next time. Shalom, family. Love y'all. Peace. Shalom.